Hey, what's up? I'm Hostility. I'm thick, but I'm quick.
What's up? Named Izzy from Tri-Cities.
Both know the rules. Protect yourselves at all times and listen to my commands at all times. Touch gloves now.
Where's that guard? Where's that guard? Shield. Plant. Shield it.
Go after.
Don't faint on those. Fighting. Don't faint. Don't fight.
Use those legs. Keep her back. Protect your face.
Move on. You already know what to do.
Remember, your leg.
Hands up. That's it. All right, you've seen it right here. Referee stoppage. We have your winner.
Shout out to my corners. Tri-City, Washington. Street beef. Shout out.
Oh shit. Wait. There we go. Yeah.
The cure for pain is in the pain. The cure for pain is in the pain. The cure for if I say it enough times, it'll be true. If I say it enough times.
What?
Yeah, the cure for pain is in the pain. The cure for pain is in the pain.
Is it?
Yes. If Rumi said it, it has to be true.
I don't even know who that dude is. But what he's saying, I do understand part of it. Well, I for me, the way I look at it is like through a lot of like exercise shit. Like a lot of times when I've had stuff like my shoulder feels kind of fucked up or my back or something like that, the cure for that is actually to probably either switch up some exercises, but it's to not quit exercising. It's actually to figure out what my body's trying to tell me and basically change it. Like one of the things that I do is they're not a regular part of my exercise routine, the Arnold presses, but they're actually really good for your shoulders. So sometimes if I'm having that issue with my shoulders, I'll just incorporate Arnold presses for a while until that goes away. Because I also like doing like a lot of different shoulder stuff too. It's really good.
Want to hear what else Ruby had to say?
What?
Woman is a being with a divine light. She is not the being whom sensual desire takes as its object. She is creator. It should be said. She is not a creature. Great Fatima Zihara means of Fatima, the radiant, brightest star, star of Venus, the evening star, the daughter of the prophet, is the secret in Sufism. She is the Hajat of Ali. In other words, she establishes the esoteric sense of his knowledge and guides those who attain it.
Was it like poetry
Rumi.
or something?
Yeah, Rumi was a big simp.
Yeah.
Like top tier simp. But here's the deal. Even a simp can occasionally drop bars. So it is what it is.
I mean, simping is sort of. I don't. Wait. What? Hold on. Let's define our terms. What is a simp? What is
Wait, we
simping?
don't. 10 years into this shit, we don't know what simping is. What?
I don't think anybody ever like put a hard line like, "Hey, simping is this," or "Simping is around this context," or I don't think it's ever.
I would probably use a concise definition like one that quickly acquiesces to the desires or whims of women. Something along those lines. It's about
one that
allowing yourself to be subjugated by women.
Yeah. So one that puts the desires and demands of women above themselves. So basically,
it gets tricky because so you might get to acquiesce into her shit to satiate your base desires. So there's like they're kind of coupled that way. Right? Because like it's almost transactional at that point. It's like, all right, you have an itch, validation, sexual gratification, and you might be willing to compromise your other parts of your identity, other parts of your self, right? So it'd be weird like that.
No, that's 100% up to the individual man and its circumstance. That's what I was saying. So, what would be the? I don't know. So as far as I'm concerned, if you put, well, I think that's also, well, I think the word for that is actually idiot. Because if you put the woman needs above your own, then most likely, well, here's the thing, that's also problematic too, because it depends on the needs. It depends on what it is.
Yeah, but we use simp, and everybody kind of knows what we're talking about. Also, the origin of simp, I think, originally in modern conventional use, has two origins. One, short for simpleton, idiot, and then two, actual street pimps would often refer to their clients as simps.
Because
Right.
which is one, they can go fuck themselves, because I kind of look at it like, all right, so the dude goes, he pays for it, and then he goes about his way, right? How the fuck is that? So you degrade
Well, not
him,
always.
but the
Oh, see,
dude,
not always. Because some simps become a problem. Because some guys will be like, "Oh, I'm a rescue from this baby." And simps don't be, or pimps don't be liking that shit.
you're not gonna rescue this bitch from herself.
Many men have tried.
They need to let that go. You can't say here. I'm at the age where enough observation has gotten me to the understanding. Let go of the saving anyone shit. Let it go. It's not a thing. Just quit it. As far as it goes, if somebody reaches their hand out to you, I don't feel you have a moral obligation, but you can, if you want to, pull them up. But the idea that you're going to go out and, against someone's will, pull them up to a place they weren't trying to go, you gotta let that shit go, man.
I was
Just let it
talking
go.
about, like, did you ever look up that? Because you always talk about let go, and there's this song that I think I tagged you in it. I don't know if you ever listened to it. It's AC Alone, and it's called Hold On.
I don't.
AC Alone, Hold On. It, like, the whole song lyrically is your whole letting go shit. That's why I thought you would appreciate it. So check it out sometime.
Oh, what? I gotta find a song and listen to it?
Yes, don't let go of that idea of finding the song. You gotta find it, and then you can let go.
But attachment is the root of all suffering.
But is it?
I don't know. I think I fucked that up. I think it's supposed to be desire is the root of all suffering.
No, no, I'm here. No, here's the deal. Like, sometimes this isn't parsed very well, and it could be lost in translation by the time it hits English and Western understanding. So, like, no, you could be pretty clear by making the claim that attachment is the root of all suffering. That has been kind of a big deal in, like, Buddhism and Zen. Um, what's the other, Tao? Yeah. So that is a thing. Attachment itself is attachment in and of itself can be a problem, or some would even not can be, but is the core problem.
Yeah, people have a hard time letting go. And
And people have a hard time. Western mentality has a very hard time with this concept because we have developed so much, which is on the presupposition that we need to build attachments. That's how you build social cohesion. That's how you build ideas. That's how you build society itself, is that you have to have attachments, which is kind of true in a technical way, but we stack a whole bunch of other stuff on top of that. Like, we're all about attachments in the West, without a doubt.
yeah, well, I don't know. I don't think there's much for me to talk about attachment, honestly. It's just part of existence. You get attached to things because reasons. But everything's gonna go away eventually. Like I like listening to that Johnny Cash song, um, hurt ya or something like that. And because it's like, yeah, everybody goes away in the end, and I'm like, yeah, people, that's how it works. And I knew this. I actually had a when I was a kid. It was the footprints in the sands or ghosts in and out of your life shit or something like that. Cause yeah, for me, I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I understand that completely. No one's gonna actually be around or be there. So I kind of grasped letting go of shit. And also, I was a weird little motherfucker. I would read all types of random
So the
shit.
specific song "Hurt" by Johnny Cash, you gotta let it go. That's a dangerous song.
What do you mean? How's it? I don't get it. How's it dangerous?
There's something about it. Like, it's the pinnacle of art. And it's like it's the perfect breakup song. It's the perfect depression song. Yeah, it's a dangerous song, very dangerous. Like here's the deal: like there's a handful of like I've been in and out of being a huge music buff, music nerd for the majority of my life. But I can tell you this: I don't think I've listened to any single track more than Hurt, and it was usually in the context related to either something involving a woman or getting hella drunk and listening to the shit like 100 times in a row. So Hurt is dangerous. It's a dangerous song for some dudes. Maybe not you, but for some dudes. Gotta let it go.
Well, I didn't like because for me, one of the things that the only thing that I'll say that kind of really was one of those things, and I talked about this the other day. It's sort of like when I realized it's like, oh snaps, that family I had growing up, like that connection with those people, I'm never gonna have something like that again. That's never gonna be a thing again. And of course, there's gonna be a little grieving, a little mourning over that. But at the same time, I understand, and this is the thing. Let me make this extreme. Let me make this very clear. I intellectually understand because of the current environment and because of the path in life that I'm on right now, because of all the things that have happened, that I don't benefit from trying to pursue gaining that in any avenue, in any area.
I'm gonna push back here. So family it doesn't have a monopoly on wholesomeness, and I feel like we've all been indoctrinated to kind of think that it does. So if turmoil or estrangement or something wild, dysfunction, something wild happens with family, I feel like some of us just kind of naturally grieve the loss of anything and everything and all wholesome things, as if you can't even catch a moment of wholesomeness without a family, without the context of the family. It's very strange what we've done.
Hold up there, Doctor Assumption. I'm not saying that I'm not gonna have a peaceful life or accomplish some task, and shit like that. I'm not saying that all of a sudden it's just gonna be nothing but hell, debauchery, and murder and shit. I'm just
Sure.
saying, yeah, what? I hope not. But I'm just saying that that idea, as it normally sits in our minds, like that's not a thing to pursue. Because you see a lot of guys, maybe they're from a similar background, or maybe from a background where they're like completely fucking adopted and don't have anybody or no shit like that. Like a Thomas Sowell type situation, and they want to go and they want the idea of of having a family, so they go out and they want to make a family so they can feel whole again. And again,
That's because they want their reality to map on to what they think is wholesomeness,
yeah,
right? And that could be a hard thing to let go. And when you refuse to let go, when you're trying to find ways to map things on, you could actually miss so many other opportunities of wholesomeness that don't require all of these external players and actors and family members in your life. This is actually really difficult. It's not really difficult to comprehend, but it's really difficult to actualize because I feel like the indoctrination that family somehow houses a certain quality of like warmness or good feeling cannot be found anywhere else. And I think that might be kind of a lie. Now, I would grant that a functional, healthy family, you might get spikes of more of that kind of wholesome vibe that I'm getting at. But I don't think it's the default, and I don't think that it has a monopoly on that. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to add to your point. So
oh no, I just had to look up the definition of wholesome, and it's basically conducive to physical well-being or good health. It is also conducive to moral well-being.
yeah.
So
Oh, there
yeah.
we go. That's the trigger word. Oh shit. Yeah, we're gonna get a moral diatribe. Oh no.
No,
Oh good.
man. I honestly, it's Sunday. The day started out weird, and I'm not in the mood for going on a couple months long journey into morality and shit. I'm not.
But is that morally sound, brother? Is that
Mm-hmm. But whose compass?
exactly?
Like that's oh
But
shit, I completely dropped the whole virtue subject. I was supposed to be looking into that for the longest time.
you know,
What the fuck happened?
I'll still rock virtue, but we ain't gonna talk about virtue today. So
I don't know. I don't know because I don't know. I don't mean like anything. I'm pretty sure the term is bastardized at this point and is used for a bunch of bullshit.
some folks are trying to bring it back.
They're always trying to bring some shit back, and
You
then
know,
it's only
I'm not
for
saying you gotta seek them out, but like virtue will never die. Like it, it it's like this. It's a wonderful thing that emanates from the best of men. It can never die, and the best of men exist in any and all situations. There is no hell that you can think of that would lack the best of men.
I don't. What the hell are you talking about?
I'm saying virtue can never die. It emanates from with us. It's not just a
Oh,
way we act moral or ethical with
so
others.
let's throw some
Virtue.
definitions of virtue that I got from Google.
See
Behavior
what?
showing high moral standards. A quality considered morally good or desirable in a person. A good or useful quality of a thing. Virginity or chastity, especially of a woman. Yeah, I've heard it
See,
used that way. I've heard that before.
that, all of them is gay ass descriptions of virtue. They're
I mean,
incomplete. They're watered down. There's too much emphasis on morality, which denotes a social aspect, which is not always the case, which is what I was getting to. Virtue emanates from within. Virtue can be developed, it can be fostered. It's a force you can harness from within yourself. Can it map onto an ethical or moral system outside of oneself? Absolutely. Should it necessarily? Maybe not. Because every once in a while you get a mad society. So if you try to map with their morality, you're going to take away from your own virtue. So I would point to Greek virtue, or even Christian Judeo, or even Islamic virtue. Their conceptions of virtue are, I would say, are far superior, especially the Greek one. But that's my personal favorite. The Greek conception of virtue is probably my favorite. So
oh, so look up. Let's see, morality. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, virtues. Here it is. Oh, there's quite a lot. So they got, yeah, it's like, oh shit, it's a whole list. I didn't think it was going to be a list. So justice, charity, forgiveness, tolerance, kindness and leniency, kind treatment to animals. Why is that? I don't understand. Because couldn't you also, kind treatment to animals is basically mercy to the weak?
kind treatment to animal means that you stay away from trying to derive sadistic pleasure from the unnecessary, prolonged harm of an animal.
No, that's what I mean. Because I immediately put that in the fashion of cruelty. Someone's will. Oh, hold
You don't
on.
need to be cruel.
Echo. God damn it.
Cruelty is a waste of energy. And sadism is an anti-virtue. You don't want to go there. Anything that you know teases a dark appetite, like sadism, like being cruel to an animal, something so much beneath you in terms of protecting itself. Like no, it's an absolute violation of virtue. So has most modern men? Let's go this way. Have most modern men had any encounters where they found themselves with a desire to be cruel to something weaker than themselves? Absolutely. How you handle and navigate that desire that almost inexplicably pops out of nowhere, if you don't indulge it, that is virtue. The desire itself is like, you know what, fucking this dog's driving me crazy, I want to kick it. That pop into your hand in and of itself doesn't necessarily violate anything, but acting on it and actually causing harm to the animal because it annoys you, that would be cruelty, right?
Oh yeah, because I know what you're talking about. Because I know those thoughts, those impulses, And you gotta. Here's the thing that I don't like how some people like to try to play this game like they couldn't control themselves. Because the people who can't control themselves, you kind of after a while you catch on like, oh, this motherfucker has some extreme issues. Other people, they're just making an excuse. Like they know, and I know I might be projecting on some, but you see, I'm putting it like, hey, I'm not saying all. I'm just saying there are a lot of people they just want to. They want because they actually do derive some pleasure from it. But
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, I mean, there's always like think about it, if I wanted to right now, instead of doing this, I could go ahead, I could hop in my vehicle. I mean, I've got money I can spend on shit. I could go buy a couple animals or something, find a nice spot in the woods. I'm not gonna finish the story, but you know what I mean. Like there's think about it. If you really like, I don't know. It's just it's your choice if you want to be cruel or not. It's your choice when you want to do a lot of these things, and it's up to the individual. And after that,
Yeah.
because essentially, if you take away the aspect of everyone looking at you and seeing what you're doing, let's say that no one's there, not even God's eyes, right? The person who's most affected, besides the thing you just did those actions to, is yourself. You're choosing who you are. You're choosing part of you. You're choosing part of what you exercise of yourself.
Yeah. So it's not always the desire in and of itself that's a problem. It's how you restrain from the desire that's where virtue comes from, right?
Oh
It's like
shit.
virtue resists base nature, and this is why it's so fitting that you know to not leave discussions of virtue out of the equation when we have like red pill conversations or the male discussion. You can't do that. Virtue has to be center stage in a lot of ways. We can, we would be well to do never to forget what virtue is. So, really, you just gonna drop off like, oh, okay, to talk all your good shit about virtue. I'll be right back. Just do a monologue all of a sudden. That's great. I can't do monologues. Actually, I probably could, but yeah. So, like I was saying, virtue comes from within. But I don't know. But the good argument about the origin of virtue is like, can it be created in a vacuum? And so there is a good argument. There's room for debate there because you would need something, whether in reality, nature, or society, could be very useful, if not necessary, to get a framework. So sometimes you do need some help from external ideas and if not from people, sometimes it's just studying nature, right? Because like there's particular levels of like cruelty that we can find in other species, but not at the level that we participate in it. So sometimes even looking at nature and not even necessarily consulting with other men can be useful in kind of figuring out how to develop virtue in oneself. So
Yeah. So I think well, because it's something that I was thinking about a second ago, hence my oh shit that I blurted out. It's like, well, shit, if that's one of your qualifiers for virtue, I'm virtuous as hell. Because there's a lot of times in life where exercising restraint, and it's not so much just to do it for the sake of avoiding consequences. It's more thinking about, all right, if I do this, then what? If I do
yeah,
this, how does it affect others? But more importantly, how is this going to affect me? What will I be like if, let's say, those consequences aren't taking like don't take my life? What will I be
there's,
like down the line?
there's something
Will I
more.
be a person that I enjoy?
There is something more majestic about virtue than just consequentialism. So what you just mentioned, it's like, oh, you don't do things because of consequences. Okay, that is an inferior ethical or moral system to have, right? Because consequences only can be a trip. So virtue, I feel like virtue is deeper than that. At least the way that I'm talking about it. Like there are plenty of other people that could push back, including consequentialists that would say, you know what, no, everything is utilitarian and consequentialist. So, and then you get into all those rabbit holes. So,
Well, I don't know. Look, all I was saying is that there's more to it a lot of times than just thinking about only the consequences.
Yeah, without a doubt. We're definitely on the same page with it.
But that takes a little bit of, well, that's also what I was kind of pointing out too, because a lot of times it won't be, people don't want to think very deeply into things. They don't want to ponder farther in it. It's just like when I meet people who say they don't like math or they're bad at math, and I'm like, I got this feeling because I know what they mean. Because I'll go through spurts where I don't practice math for a lot, but if I have a test coming up where I actually need to do some math on it, I have to start quickly reviewing everything. And one thing I'll find is because I haven't did that in a while, that I'm a little rusty. It might hurt a little bit at first, and then finally when I knock all the cobwebs off and shit, and I've actually oiled up the wheels, it works fine. I'm like, yeah, you know, and it's for a lot of other things, it's like that for people too. They don't want that initial pain, but I do think that the, like, what's that saying? Um, for in life, pain is a certainty, but suffering is optional, or something like that. I don't remember exactly how it goes, but embrace the pain. Don't chase the pain, but understand that it's a necessary part of the process. The suffering is all in your mind. It's all there. There's a lot of different ways to let go of the suffering, where a lot of people will be like, how could you ask me of that? It's like, I'm not asking you of that. This is a question that you are presented to yourself, whether you're going to do this or not to alleviate the suffering that you have. Or are you going to allow the suffering to continue? Are you going to intensify your suffering? I don't know. I think I'm all over the place with some shit.
No, I get you. I think the only thing that I would add would be that pain in and of itself can be like, it could be neutral, it could be hell, right? It can be on some goofy sadomasochistic and self-inflicted. It can be all those things. Suffering has redemption via purpose, through purpose. Meaning that, like, the absolute worst suffering that a man might endure, if he assigns it purpose, not necessarily if the purpose of that suffering falls on his lap, but if he assigns a purpose, then yes, then it transcends this pain. So, and it goes back to your point. Yes, embrace the pain,
Yep.
make it useful.
Yeah, it's useful
Because,
as
like,
it can be.
because I mean, in some cases, physical and psychological pain, in some cases, are not all that different. They're alarm systems, right?
Yep.
So pain in of itself, it's an alarm system. It's trying to let you know something is wrong, something's off. Check your surroundings, check what's happening, right? And so if you if you ignore it, yeah, it's going to be a problem. If you add to it, it's probably going to be a problem. If you deal with it as best as you can at the time and then try to assign it a purpose, then now you've transcended that meaningless pain kind of shit. This could be really helpful for deep state depression. Just thinking about shit like that can be really useful, but it can be hard to get it, to get it jump started, to try to get into that thinking, because by virtue of depressive kind of thinking, like, you're really divorced from that, any of these kind of concepts, because you're shitting on yourself, and you can't untwine yourself and external conditions that are fucking with you. It's just a mess. So it can be really difficult to kind of peel back and see things for what they are, and figure out, you know what? No, I'm going to make use of this pain as opposed to just falling prey to it. So.
All right, hold on. Give me a second, and then after that, I'm about to change topics because we're about to get into this shit.
Unauthorized changing of topics.
I mean, who's gonna shoot me? I don't see any guns pointed at me right now.
I don't know. Take a walk in your neighborhood. We'll find out.
There's nobody around here though, which is actually I kind of like. Like, there's
Really?
not.
You
Yeah.
live in a ghost town? Base.
It's like the little section I'm at is not. There's not a lot of people around here. There's a couple sort of like businesses and shit like that, but there's not a lot of people. That's why.
Look, if you want an ice tea from the store, are you within walking distance of a convenience store? Walking distance. Are you like within walking distance of like a place to get like a cheap iced tea or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm not out in the fucking boonies or nothing. I wish I was.
So, what you're saying is it's still chill. Like there is businesses and all that is just chill. So
Yeah, I don't like that. I wouldn't still be here. Think about it. Like I've been here, like in this exact location. I've been here for like damn near going on a decade. Look,
all
when I
right.
was in like my like I was out in my early 20s when I started coming around, yelling my ass off and doing Fight Club and shit. I was here.
Missed it. I really want to yell at people again.
What would we gain from that? I think we're a
I
little
don't
too
know.
like I
This
don't
is
know.
where I need help. I need your help. I need Shining's help. I need uh Laz help. I need everybody's help. There's something like I don't know why I have this desire to yell at strangers, but I do. I have this. Maybe it's because in my typical affairs, my public facing job, whatever, I am so exceptionally professional, and the mask never slips. Is that? But there's something that hungers for that, the confrontation, argumentation. Like I hunger for it. So I'm willing to be told that it's a problem or unhealthy, but I just that's for whatever reason that's not obvious to me.
What what so yeah, you're saying like you basically you want to fight, you want to is this one of those things where you've hit a certain
I want to mentally square off, and I also want to challenge degeneracy wherever I see it. So that's becoming a big theme lately. Getting on my high horse. And I know what part of that's about. I'm starting to feel myself because I've racked up a couple of years of sobriety. So my own historical degeneracy is at a minimum right now. So I'm starting to feel
are
myself.
you fighting yourself?
Oh, maybe I just want maybe I just want external avatars in which to fight myself to slay the demons of yesteryear.
It's sort of
Maybe.
like cuz kind of what I was thinking like when you were saying that I'm like, well maybe it's one of those things where it's an internal thing. You want to see if you are capable of beating yourself. If you're capable of subduing the degeneracy, the degenerate version of yourself, or that aspect of yourself that you've dealt with before that you know is still there, but you don't want to bring it up in yourself through certain behaviors or indulgences. Instead, you want to find it externally. And that's what you
Yeah.
want to face off against to see over these years, over this time, have you actually gained a higher tier of existence, a higher level of existence of over those things, a mastery over that.
And the self awareness, like I mentioned before, I just came up with that bar, just a straight up bar. It's like a question I could pose to myself, and I'm posing it is, do you want to be right or do you want to live right? And so I have a self awareness of all this, but I don't know how to answer that question. Both? Can I choose both? No, you can't choose both. Well, fuck you. Like, see, now I can be fighting with myself. Like, oh,
I don't. So be right or live right. Now, when you
yeah.
say right, are you saying like there's a moral baseline that you should have for yourself that you're going by, or are you saying that this goes to something different?
No, things like getting into the things that I know I should be doing, that I should be improving on, where I should be putting my time and energies, right? It's not necessarily like a moral stuff. Like as I get older, there is a little bit more crossover with us, certain religious or ethical systems, but they're not really. But my shit is still kind of independent from all that. So I, the only thing about the external stuff is that I'm starting. It's easier for me to resonate when I identify an external ethic or moral code. I can resonate it better than I ever have prior. And the reason because of that is because a sense of internal shame that I was hiding when I was a degenerate, right? I didn't want that to be let out of the bag because then others could wield that as a weapon toward me. And I wasn't involved and I want to get involved with that game. But no, the core of it is really like what you should be doing. So that's why that question, that bar at like that dope ass question is kind of really pertinent.
All right.
Maybe if I ask that question enough times in any given day, I could get some shit done. So
Who's deciding what should? Who's deciding what is the correct course of behavior or patterns of behavior or decisions for you to be making?
that tension, That tension between, because like here's the deal, like I haven't completely, so I've been on a mission for years to obliterate cynicism in myself, nihilism, right? But I haven't been wholly successful in that. There are traces of it, right? And then, a bad day, a bad mood, it'll bring back up, and I'm on some like, okay, why do I want to get healthy and live longer in this, around these people, in this reality, right?
Oh shit.
That's super, like, what's the point? That's that nihilism shit, right? I know it's not. There's trace amounts of it that's still left, so there is a battle there, without a doubt. There's a fucking battle.
I will actually correct you one part. Asking those questions is not nihilism. That's actually a part of discovery. So in a sense, that, and I'm gonna say this because Spetznaz, Spetznaz said the shit. I heard it from him, but he was 100% right, because actually we should do it more. A lot more men should practice this shit. And also, Shining shared a clip from Robin Williams. Well, Robin Williams was in his little thing. He was talking about how they tell you don't talk to anybody, and then they also tell you don't talk to yourself, and then you're isolated, and then so who the fuck are you talking to? I will 100% point out, you should 100% be talking to yourself. In fact, you should be cultivating in your mind, you should be training yourself to actually talk and analyze things mentally, internally, where you actually have, like, you're your own counselor. Spetznaz talked about that in a video, to where when he was younger, he would start counseling himself. He was like, fuck it, I'm just going to counsel me. He's going to start, and he's going to go through, and so what he's doing, and this is something that we try to practice, like, especially you come around the manosphere, because, we've been around here for a while, and you're going to start having these questions, what you do, because maybe you're not very introspective. Maybe you haven't been, and maybe you're finally just starting to actually get an idea of that. We start bouncing these questions off of everybody. We got all these questions for all these different people, random motherfuckers just showing up to their hangouts or their streams or their Discord or wherever the hell they are, and just asking these questions and doing these conversations and all this shit. And a lot of times what I realize, that essentially you really want, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to get those questions are essentially for you, but you may not have gotten a good way of getting any internal feedback for them. So you need to use external sources for that.
Yeah.
Because you're not good at communicating with yourself.
Yeah, but certainly to jumpstart them, because I'm definitely capable of introspection, but I do notice that left to my own devices, if I'm in like a sponge mode where, like, I'm just keeping game, observing, what invariably ends up happening is that I would imagine all entire sections of my brain kind of go on autopilot and dormant mode, which will interfere with the quality of my introspection. But if I go out into the world, talk, mingle, socialize, even if it's online with some of you fellas, or even fucking yelling at strangers, entire regions of my brain begin to light the fuck up. And then when I'm in between all of those activities and my job and doing shit around the house, whatever, or actually most of it does come up when I am doing stuff around the house, like quiet time, whatever, the quality of my introspection increases because of that interactivity with outside forces. So. And I don't know if that's normal. I don't know if it's normal to go dormant and the quality of your own introspection to suffer. I'm not sure. That might be a me problem. I haven't figured that out. So.
Well, I mean, one thing I've came to realize, and this is something where I think I kind of knew this already, but so because mentally I get mentally exhausted a lot, because I've got a lot of mental things that are just mentally exhausting going on all the fucking time. So, but physically, physically, like right now, if I needed to go run like a quick 3.5 or some shit like that, best believe I got this. Ain't gonna be a big deal. I got it. But mentally, I'll be exhausted as shit, so I'll think I'm tired, but I'm perfectly fine. Fit as a fiddle. Did I say fucking fit as a fiddle? Whatever. Keep moving. And, but I'm finding that without that rest, without that mental rest, I'm not able to actually give myself a lot of that internal discussion that I need. Because a lot of that, like the other day, I couldn't even really fucking sleep, man. I like literally, and what was going on was I had been so mentally exhausted, and I kind of started figuring out, well, why my my brain was taking those times of the night is because that around that time I've already gotten like a couple hours of sleep in, and then so now it can do its thing. Now all that shit that I've been meaning to look over, process through, and everything, it can go all that uninterrupted. Because at that time of night, there's nothing for me to check. There's nothing going on. It's gonna be undisturbed. But at any other time of the day, there's always something, one thing or another. And of course, I'm awake. And so now I'm going to push myself to doing all these other different fucking things. Instead of, which honestly, I'm starting to see where the encouragement for meditation is at. Just turn everything. Because I used to do that. I used to just sit, turn everything the fuck off, and just boom, just sit there.
Tell you like this: your most effective enemies meditate. So get good, scrub.
All right. One, I don't know who those dudes are, so
I know who they are. But that's different. That's an entirely different stream.
But as far as meditation, I'm probably gonna try to do a different form of that. I don't know, cause sitting there, I don't want to sit like sitting cross-legged. I guess cool, but I don't want to. I don't want to do that. Essentially, I'd like to just. Oh, I saw. In fact, it brings it. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but it brings me to I saw this little video or something like that, and it was like what does it say? The new trend, like ghost walking or some shit like that. And all it was leaving your phone at home and going for a walk. And I'm like, yeah, I used to do that shit as a kid all the time because I didn't have a fucking phone. What are you talking about?
Stupid.
That was called leaving the house.
Think about the linguistics and the psychology behind naming a trend like that. Ghost walking. Ghost denotes that, like, soul without body, incompleteness. So they've come up with like a linguistic model that without your fucking phone, you're somehow incomplete. Even the name of that trend is subversive and fucking gross, bro. That's a stupid ass trend.
Yep. So I think it's funny, and most people aren't going to catch on to it. They're going to think that it's a real thing, and and I'm just like, man, have you ever just straight up turned your phone off or not even cared about it? Like I was like, there was this one young dude, and I was telling him, and I was trying to be like, sort of like where you do that like thing, like, hey, have you thought of this? Because I guess because of my voice and demeanor and some shit like that, and if people that know something about my background and shit, they kind of look at me as sort of, they think I'm being very domineering and assertive or some shit. I don't know. I don't know what it is. They think I'm telling them what to do, and I'm like, no, I'm not telling you. I'm sharing my experience, and I'm sharing some of my understanding, and I'm also.
You're too loud, and you're uppity, and you're too aggressive, and you need to stop.
I don't know why the uppity's in there. That's weird. That was an odd one to throw in the middle. Nice little.
Why is that a good one? Is there any historical context to that one? Yeah.
Not that I know of, but it just seems weird. Like basically, I'm supposed to be more like downtrodden. I should be in a more lethargic state. Is that what you're saying? I should be more. What was that word they used to describe Eeyore? Melancholy. I should be more melancholy.
Uppity is loaded. It's obscure, but it's loaded because the last time it was in American parlance was when it was used to describe some person in a lower station of life talking out of turn or getting a little bit too proud or out of their bridges.
Oh, so I know what you mean. And actually, I used to have a lot of people who would actually sort of give me like a tone like that.
Yeah.
Because if you paid attention to me for quite a while, one, I'm pretty articulate. Two, I don't think that there should be a restriction on what you can talk about or what you can look into. I don't believe that. That's so fucking stupid where they're like, well, I'm not a doctor. It's like, oh, well, you're a fucking retard. You look into whatever you want, and if you want to talk about something, why the fuck can't you talk about it? Because someone else is listening and they think you shouldn't? Fuck those people. I'm sorry, are they gonna kill you? Are they gonna take your freedom away? No, they can go fuck themselves. And also, if they're gonna do the latter, What do you think you should do next? You fucking retard. Like, come on, wake the fuck up. A lot of people, I think they haven't really caught on. And I've been talking about this shit since back in the day because it's a simple thing that always annoys the hell out of me. People don't seem to understand when they're threatening somebody. They don't seem to grasp that. And yeah, this is coming from a dude who just how I just described myself. I understand how it comes off when I start talking about these things if like I was in person with somebody. But in reality, you need to understand, and this is, again, I'm not saying this in a way like I want something to happen or somebody deserves anything, because it's not about deserves. Deserves isn't real. Shit just happens. That's the truth. So how things are interpreted, what's actually backing those things is important, because when you start saying, because a lot of people, this NPC shit, and other people still carry a lot of those terminology and a lot of those speaking, like the phrases and all that shit. I guess I don't remember the right proper term for it, but they carry a lot of that with them, and they keep it. And here's the thing: I know probably shouldn't say this, but you know better than that. You should know better than that, because when you start talking to somebody that way, you have to understand what you're actually saying. And a lot of times we're threatening somebody.
It is. There's a subtle threat to it.
And
it's not acceptable. That's why I broached the word anyway. Like it's a loaded word. But here's the deal. So like even though the word isn't really in use all that much, the vibe is there.
Yeah.
People find a lot of different ways to try to tell you to shut up or how to talk or what to talk about. Like it's becoming more and more frequent. So,
which I think is actually really, really good. And I actually am, at this point, I'm going to encourage it. Why? Why the fuck would you say that, SFM? That's crazy, man. It's like, hey, hold on, man. Hear me out. Listen real quick. The reason why is because the environment's not about to be the same. In fact, if you've been paying attention, you can see it changing now. It happens really because you can't see all the small little indices or all that shit, but it's slowly changing because it's all about incentives and constraints. And I've said this like the longest time in the world. Once the pain is felt, all the social graces and the brotherly love, the neighborly, all that shit goes out the window. It's all gone. And you're going to find out real motherfucking quick how to gain some goddamn respect. Because respect is one of those things. A lot of men, if you've had any violence backgrounds or anything like that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know that there's a lot of respect that you learned that wasn't told to you.
Well, the more men are closer to violence or more acquainted with violence, the more they'll develop codes and systems to avoid it if necessary. Like, I mean, this is another thing that I feel like everybody shits on. Men, like ancient men of antiquity, men of the past, or even modern men, is like this idea that because we're fucking somehow beast, and we weren't the ones who developed diplomacy in the first place, which we were. It's what we do. It's part of like the hierarchical systems that we tap into. Not only do we size each other up or engage each other, but we'll also start fucking encoding into our behaviors and interactions with each other codes so that we can avoid violence.
Yep.
Right? So, like, I mean, anyone who's actually familiar with, real violence, typically, unless they're a psychopath, isn't jumping into it headlong. It's not something they're actively pursuing. Like, and this is different. Like, if you go to the gym and box or any kind of sport, that's a code. You're harnessing violence in a very controlled and specific way.
Yep.
But real violence is to be avoided. And men have a natural propensity of developing systems with each other to avoid that.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know what I mean? It's like, it's codifying respect. It's codifying space. It's codifying freedom of association. So.
Yeah. And it's really those who actually have a comprehension of what I'm talking about, when you actually understand it and then you meet different men in different spaces and environments with different codes and shit like that. And because when you're younger, you go through this process. At a certain age, you start to learn this stuff and you try to communicate. You try to learn how to communicate, these type of these concepts, these ideas, these understandings. And eventually, you're going to develop your own, sort of your own little system, your own code, and your own morals. Unless, you're the type of person who just constantly, has to piggyback on other, like you can't have your own. You just always have to adapt. I mean, technically so let me fix myself because technically you do pick you are going to take some from everywhere you go if you're smart, if you're not completely retarded. Some people on the other hand, they do 100% just sort of drop everything and then grab on to what's immediately around them and then sort of like I'm trying to think there's an actual term for it, but I don't have it right now. Sorry, I'm getting old. My brain's not really my brain's not really Oh man, I got Alzheimer's already?
Yes.
Shit.
It comes with being 87, man. You just got to get used to it.
Oh, well, you know.
You were legitimately born an old man.
Well, it's fucked up because they used to call me that as a kid.
But here's the deal. That just means you got a jump start on being a fucking sage elder, which is
Yeah.
like the most dopest thing you could be as a modern man because so few of us are even give a fuck about being sage elders. That's like for me, it's the coolest fucking thing. It's the most rebellious thing you could possibly be in this day and age.
But I don't wanna.
No, I mean you don't. I'm not dictating shit to you. I'm just yo, lean into it. If you were born an old man, you might as well be on your eldership. So
I mean, it is what it is. Some of us are a little bit more of the I guess you could say like a way to embody them would be their archetype would be an owl. You know, just observing. Like because they always put the owl as like the wise motherfucker that's just observing and looking, which is like I guess just because the motherfucker observes and looks doesn't mean they're wise. I mean, let's be honest. You could be old and be dumb as hell and not very wise at all.
that's true. That's definitely true.
Yeah, I met quite a few. I meet people like that all the time, and it seems like they want things. Let me point this out. So when
All
I
the
like,
more reason for you to do it properly. So like if you got a bunch of people that have wasted entire, you know, fucking decades of their life absorbing knowledge but not making sense of it or doing much with it or much less bestowing it upon others, like if they keep failing on all accounts of rocking that fucking elder, that gray beard, that sage shit, all the more reason to be what is not there.
well,
Like, I mean, even in a societal sense, even, right? Because we still kind of have to participate in society. And this is not a dictate, but like if we keep looking around and be like, oh shit, a lot of old motherfuckers ain't doing what they seem to be should be doing. Like they should be counseling us, dropping wisdom, like supporting us, schooling us, like all the like if we see a failure in this, then you have to become that man. Right? So I don't know. That's just the way I look at it. I'm on my dumb.
I mean,
Pay
you
it forward.
can. There's always a vacancy that needs to be filled. Always a void. I mean, you can choose to go that route, or like me personally, I'm like, well, if you possess those attributes and you find it's something that you sort of are good at, you could just choose to basically keep that benefit, that action for yourself. Always counseling yourself and stuff like that, and great advice. But I think it's gonna naturally slip out. I think there's gonna be people where you might have an affinity for, or just in a close proximity, you basically get a familiarity for them, and then eventually you're gonna basically put forth some of those skills. It's just gonna happen because it's a natural inclination for us to want to be useful in our environment because we know part of us knows that hey, when I do that, it'll make my immediate environment better and it'll make my quality of life go up. So you're going to want to
Well,
apply those.
wise men always set the conditions on how they choose to be useful. I mean that's right out the gate. Wise men would not allow themselves to just be readily available, uh, and toward the whims of those that they could potentially serve. They're going to show up when they want. They're going to say what they want. Probably going to answer a question with the question. Like they're not going to play by like some dumb whatever the contemporary society's rules are. Right? That's how like I mean we've seen this. It's built in the archetypes of like how at least how we used to write like old sages, wise men, elders. We used to see this. It was an archetype. Like a really good example is and like the Buddhist archetype is like Buddha himself, and then other kind of like Buddhist wise men or whatever. They never answer a question with an answer. They give you a question. They toy you. They troll you to get you thinking for yourself. right? So
Yes.
old men are just trolls that didn't get killed.
Well, no, because well, think about it, and what I've kind of came to an understanding that's because that's the only way they can get your ass to learn. It's like think about it. It's the most effective way without compromising themselves.
In a lot of cases, being direct is futile because
Yep.
people people can't really like absorb shit like that. Like you got to
Nope.
get their own gears going. You got to their own incentive has to come into play, right? So
Yeah, so it can be pretty difficult. I personally wouldn't want to take the role of teacher, mentor, or whatever the fuck. Like, I don't, because what I've understood from basically, and I caught this in myself, I noticed it in myself because of what I've observed through society from youth on to now, is when it comes down to like male authority and the risk associated with leadership, I seem to have an aversion towards it because I don't see a benefit in it. I see a risk in it. And I don't see that it's rewarded. I see that it's punished. And so it doesn't matter if I have sort of a self assessment of whether I'm able to do it um, effectively or not. It's more about I look at it and say, all right, cool. But based off of all my experience and knowledge of what I've gotten so far, this won't work well for me. So these people may benefit, this environment will benefit, but I will have direct consequences of this that I've endeavored, and it'll all basically be futile because everything will be undone, and I'll essentially, well, basically it's like essentially like I didn't do anything. In fact, things were made worse because of the consequences that would follow on it. And it's like, hey, you seem like you're beating around the bush here. So when I was growing up, when I was looking at like especially like my father, right, in the household, when like when he was there, he basically he didn't have any authority. He didn't have any say. Completely emasculated. And you see this in a lot of different environments. Like even like the single mother household, slip of the tongue. You see when the man comes around, what is he? He's not respected. He doesn't have authority. And if he does have authority, it's because he's granted it by the woman temporarily. And that can be revoked, and then the use of that authority will be used to attack, deride, and punish that man. There will be heavy consequences if desired so. And this is before all the fucking laws and shit that we have like in the modern times. So this has been a thing that when you're young in certain environments, it's already put into your head. This isn't new. A lot of this shit isn't new. You see it. It may take you a little while to process it and understand it, but after a while, you get how they conditioned you and what they conditioned you for. And it's not to be a leader. It's not to be masculine. It's not to be free. You're supposed to be an obedient slave. And here's the thing: you're not supposed to catch on that there actually is that they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. You're supposed to aimlessly go along and participate, thinking that you have some control over the outcome based on your actions.
I think there are still ways to do it, and I think I've kind of stumbled upon one, but it's not to. But I still hunger for more. So, all right, I'm gonna have the wildest movie reference. Have you ever seen Scrooge with Bill Murray?
What? A Bill Murray movie? Of course not, man.
What? What? Who? You can't even answer that way. It doesn't make any sense. Bill Murray. Bill Murray. Bill
Yeah,
Murray.
everybody's seen all Bill Murray movies.
Scrooge.
This goddamn national treasure.
So do you like? Do you remember? Have you ever seen the film?
Hmm? All right, your mic's fucking up.
I'll switch.
I don't even know what just happened. Right. All right, cool.
Why would I get censored for talking about Bill Murray? That's weird.
I don't think that's what happened. But all right.
I'm pretty. So I'm pretty sure. Every time I get on topics, I just get cut off. And it's not the bad signal quality of my area. That's not it. It's the feds. That's what I'm gonna say. So wait, is it bad again? What really? Oh well, you're back and the mic's good enough. So monologue. So anyway, like the Scrooge movie. So the taxi driver is the ghost of the past, and he takes Bill Murray on a tour of like childhood memories and shit. And basically, he's dead. He's a ghost, and that's what I feel like. So I'm a taxi driver, and I'm dead. I'm dead to the world in a lot of ways, and I let them talk, and I engage with strangers constantly, and a lot of the time, like I always remain professional, but I let people talk. Sometimes I'll even tease things. Sometimes I even get people to agree what the opposite of what they think is, and I just let them do it on their own. And if it clicks, that's great. I gently guide people, like the ghost. And he wasn't so gentle. He was a little bit trolly with it, but that's it. I am that archetype. I am this. I am the ghost of the past, taxi driver from the movie Scrooge. So, and I like it. So, but I want more. So even outside of that, like that role, how I make my bread, how I spend some of my time, I still want more of it. I want a more direct version of that, right? So that particular archetype or role, uh, as I'm appreciating it, but I still want more. And probably because the whole professional part of that like becomes a barrier. So, professionalism is important. It's great. You need it, to operate, function as a businessman or in society or as a worker or whatever. But it can get in the way of a lot of other things. So, are you back?
Of course not.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
All right. So, Bill Murray in what is it, Groundhog Day?
Are you trying to trigger me right now? Is that what you're doing? Are you trying to trigger me?
Possibly.
I'm about to jump out, like literally. I realize I'm about to jump up and start yelling.
I guess it's Sunday
No,
after all.
it was a movie Scrooge. It was a Christmas film. It was like a play on the old Dickinson's tale with
Yep.
the ghost of the past, the ghost of the present, the ghost of the future.
A Christmas
Uh,
Carol.
yeah, the play on Christmas card. Exactly.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it was probably it's one of the most '80s movies that ever came out of the '80s.
Yep. Oh
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, wait, I feel like we watched this together at some point because I remember I have a just weird memory of me and RP joking around because of the ghost of the little girl they casted as the ghost of with the weird voice. What was she? Was she Future? I don't think she was Future. Anyway, there was a female ghost, and it was actually, you know what? That's it. We're just gonna have to watch fucking Scrooge all over again. So
Well, I mean, it
that's a
is
rule.
holiday season, so.
Well, that's a rule in Discord. It will be watched soon, so everybody has to be there or else. So that's the new tyrant rule.
And don't worry, all I do while the movie's playing is I'm actually doing study stuff in the background, so I'm like half in and half out. So.
I'm gonna get some demerits for not paying attention to the movie Scrooge. So
That's all right. I'll just go ahead and send him to RP. He holds all my demerits for me. All right. I think we were talking about what the fuck were we talking about? We went past morality and virtue, and we were talking. Okay. Oh shit. Yeah, because I was just talking about. We were talking about male leadership and shit like that, and the complete mind fuck that they do on men, especially at an early age, because you pretty much you're a product of a lot of that conditioning and shit. So you take that, you carry a lot of that with you through life. I was observing in myself the reason why I have such an aversion towards things like that. And from what I noticed, and essentially one of the lessons I got from that, it's why it's so easy for me to embrace a statement like might is right. Because after a while you catch on, it's like, oh, so it's those with power that make the rules, and essentially when they quote unquote empower somebody, it's basically on their dictation on whether or not you did it right. There's no standard. It's upon whether they feel like fucking you over or not. And a lot of people say, well, no. And I know why they say no and they don't want to go along with that, because they want to feel like there is a way for them to win. They want to feel like there is a way for them, like there's a form of control there. When they don't realize, and it's perfectly fine to accept this, that the control is not in your hands. And it's better to embrace that. You will make much more clearer decisions. You'll be able to communicate much more concise because your brain will not be doing that double think shit. And it's hard for some people to grasp that and carry that along with them. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. Sitting in reality is not for everybody. It's just the truth. Some of us have to live in la la land because over down here in the real world it's too rough. And that's fine. Just if you're in la la land, you don't get to make decisions on shit. You go sit at the kids' table, and that's it. The adults have to handle shit, which is fine, because I realized that. I was just talking to MA and talking to some others before about my uncle, because he had passed some time ago. And one of the things that I noticed was the difference in behavior between him and my father, and how, from my observation, my father, when I was younger, I kind of pegged it as he's like a younger brother, because he was a younger brother, and I could see how he interacted with my uncle, and I could see how my younger brothers interacted with me and a lot of other people, and I kind of just started, like, that was my term for it then, you know, I mean, that's what I had for it. It's like some people are just younger brothers. Really, it's some people are responsible, and some people are just not. Like, so some people are actually fucking adults, and some people aren't. And after a while, you kind of notice who's picking that. Who knows off the choices. They're very aware, but they're choosing certain behaviors, and they're keeping up certain patterns on purpose to avoid certain things. And that's fine. Because I could point out, just like I could point out somebody avoiding responsibility, I could point out, like, hey, I avoid a lot of, like, leisureness and sloth. Because I don't like the pain, the feeling that I would get knowing that there's all these things I should be doing. No one knows when we're going to watch The Equalizer, RP. No one knows it at all. It's been like a month. That movie's been out for like how long? And it still haven't watched The Equalizer 3. Right. And so it was one of those things where I don't know. It was something I was just dwelling on because it's something that's kind of been with me for a while. And I'm pretty sure there's other terminologies and different ways to look at it, but I've always thought it was something that I don't know. I guess I'm getting older, so I'm contemplating a lot of different things in life and different things from my life and past and concepts. Because, you know, as you get older, everybody's dying, and like you find yourself. Well, I was always alone a lot, even though I was around. Like, even if I come from a big family, I was always alone a lot, even growing up and everything. So I had the time to contemplate and think about shit. That's probably why I was drawn to a lot of different stuff I was. But as the time goes on,
when you were alone,
hmm?
what did you do? When you were alone a lot, what were your interests? Like, what were you doing?
Thinking, was probably might have been reading something. It depends on the age range that you're talking about.
Okay.
So yeah, it was different throughout different points of my life.
You clearly never had a Bill Murray phase and watched all of his movies. That part we know. So
I'm pretty sure I watched a lot of Bill Murray movies.
I don't know if I believe you. So
I mean, it's not like I can remember every movie I've seen.
not only do I probably don't believe you, I'm also somehow offended because when you don't watch my favorite nostalgic movies, that's worth being offended over.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
No, it's ridiculous.
All right.
It's
I don't remember.
It's also a feature in my particular generation, which you're one below, right? You're pretty much millennial. I'm Gen X, and all of us are a bunch of nostalgic bitches. We were thoroughly indoctrinated to like have deep emotional connections to all of our toys, our stupid commercials, our fucking primitive video games, and all of our dumb movies. We are fucking man children generation,
Oh
and we need to.
shit. That my oldest brother. You're right. Yep, because I think he's around your age too. So yep, you're right.
Yeah, it's not popular either. Like so, like if I said that in public with like other Gen X people, people my own age, that could start a fight, an actual physical fight. If you challenge someone's, how they're connected with all that nostalgia, and if you even imply, yo, you've been played like a fiddle since you were born, like yeah, they're gonna want to fight you.
But no, that's true though. Like, so when you're young, you're not really in the driver's seat on a lot of shit. Like, as far as how you're conditioned, what's put into your mind, all that shit, your culture, your beliefs. Yeah, you may stray away. Like around 13 is when I can remember this. I was outside a store. It was before school. I was with my mom, and she was saying some shit, and I basically I guess that's when a lot of testosterone and hormones are kicking in, because I was just like, hey, I just don't like church. I don't like it. I'm not going. I don't want to do that shit. I don't believe in any of this shit, like at all. I'm getting tired of this, and it got pretty heated because I mean, I'll be honest, like I was at that age where if you're gonna tell me like going to these church, I think she was, I don't know what, I guess.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. What's up?
Can't hear a bloody thing. What's this user setting?
Oh, you can't hear us.
Action needed. Get started. Oh god, it's get started.
Hey man, did you just change the goddamn icon to what is that?
Started.
Yes, I did.
Next. Next.
Can you hear me?
Got it. Done.
Can you hear us?
First. Do that. I have no idea if you can hear me or not, because for whatever reason,
Yeah, we can hear you.
my sound's not working.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't think
change
you
it.
can hear
Hear
you.
that, gent.
No, you got to change it in the settings. You got to change it in the settings.
You're gonna have to at him in the chat. So.
All right, so
Now we can hear you. Hey,
it won't let me add him because he's using the guest link.
What? Oh, okay. What? You put a guest link out?
Yeah. I didn't know it was a
All right.
thing. I just saw it earlier.
well, how are you, gents?
All right, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Great. I've just come in the guest thing.
Oh
on,
yeah.
The Discord.
Well, yeah, I didn't even realize that was a guest link was a thing until I was looking to link something, because I think, well, no, Shine put out an actual invite, but I saw that and I'm like, all right, cool, I could just post that in there, and so anyone who doesn't want to make an account or anything like that, they can just use that. I think that's how it works. I'm not sure.
I actually did have to log in. I think I always keep just clicking on stuff till I get in. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your flow.
Oh, that's cool. I don't even remember what we were talking about. What were we talking about?
You were saying that you hate
Bill
Charles
Murray
Dickens
movies.
and that you hate Bill Murray. So.
Oh no, Bill Murray's a national treasure. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
Is Bill Murray still alive? I think he's dead.
Yes, he's still alive.
Well, he's not
And
dead.
he's
That's
an odd. He'll show up at random people's parties and stuff. He's a weird guy. So.
73 years old. Still kicking.
I remember him in Caddyshack. Very funny.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
And he didn't
He
get
was also
obliterated by
in,
women neither, so he's still here.
No. Yeah.
He's lucky. I mean,
So how are you, gents? How are you? Good to hear your voice.
yeah, yeah. I'm good. I don't really have any updates. Not that I can think of. Nothing cool. I didn't do no shit like, oh, I went hang gliding and it's like, people have the pictures and shit. They want to show people how cool everything they've been doing, and I don't have those. I don't have that montage. Like my montage, I thought about it before too. Like my montage would be boring as shit. It just daily, just like working out and doing shit, and it's like I'm typing, and then I'm just like doing like one of those where you raise the finger like huzzah or some shit. It's like, oh, that means he accomplished something on his keyboard. So nothing cool. Just exercising and which I found, but I did find something. So squats, because I remember you did the video before on squats, and I was having some issues with my squats. And what I found out is because everybody's like hips are a little different, your stance might be different when you're doing them. So if you're having
Yeah,
some
that's
issues
right.
with them, you have to change your stance.
Mm. That's right. I only found that out this year, to be fair. I've been squatting for 40 years, but I generally went for the ski parallel feet. But if I ease them out a bit, it's been a little easier since I started doing that. But so that's didn't realize that was a thing. So it's been interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting journey going. Yeah, because I've stayed strong all my life. To be fair, I'm still very, very strong for my frame. You know, age and weight. Anyway, la la la. Sorry, it's just really good to hear everybody again after such a long time. I don't know where everybody's been. I've had quite some serious changes in life over the last few years, but
Oh, sweet.
oh, and one of the things I'm not going to say is hi guys.
Right. Hi guys.
I'm not. I'm not going to do that.
No, there's a
It
lot of
used to make me.
guys. Uh, there's a lot of guys. They don't do the hi guys. You just don't hear from them. Cause
Yeah.
which is like, it's like, man, I don't know. It's like, I guess at this point, if you haven't caught on yet, if you think the laws are like bullshit, or you think you can out alpha this shit or something, they're retarded or they're high or something. I don't know. They're just not paying goddamn attention. Cause you can clearly see you're not winning this shit. Like, it's not happening. The idea that you're gonna go out and so I was to bring up a video, Spetznaz put one out, and he was bringing out a good point. Is like a lot of guys that go over to Thailand. They go over there, they go to try to get wives and start a family and all that shit, and they basically get the treatment. And I've pointed this shit out. A lot of other guys have pointed this shit out and a lot of other things. One, you're taking a lot of the culture and mindset from here over there. Two, that's not. Who do you have over there? You don't have family. They're not going to see you as one of their own. You're a foreigner in somebody else's country. And three, what do you think they want from you? Like, do you think you're going to go over there to some woman who just like legit, when you look at the incentives and constraints, right, and you take yourself into a different environment, yeah, there's the legal ones, but there's also the cultural ones as well. What? Why are you changing pictures everywhere? All right, threw me off. Sorry,
I'm not
I got completely
changing
distracted.
anything.
No, it's not you. MA's doing weird shit. It
Oh.
completely distracted the shit out of me. Yes, Thailand. Yes, Thailand, RP. That's how it's pronounced in some circles.
Thailand. Oh dear.
Yeah, yep, Thailand. That's yep, the old good old Thailand. I mean, let's be honest. That's what they go over there for. And I think, I mean, I'm not saying it's a completely stupid idea. I'm pretty sure there's some dudes where they go over there and they're not retarded and they actually drop a lot of their assumptions and shit like that, and they assimilate and they find a family and things all cool and great and shit. I'm pretty sure that possibly happens. Possibly. I don't know.
These your passport bros, aren't they?
Passport bros. I've never really looked into much of what that is. From what I can tell, mostly it's just guys leaving America. I know it's a lot of black dudes, which as a black guy, I completely understand. Like, I was talking to somebody and they were bringing up like they kind of gave me this look after I said something about black women, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get why you just looked at me like that. So, and this is normal for so most people, they're like, oh, I know plenty of black women, they're great, and I'm like, yeah, because you're not a black guy. So if you were a black guy though, you'd find out why I look at them like that, why I stay away from them, because I was about to hit one in my car, and I'm like, I should have kept going. I don't know why I stopped. I'll get them next time. But yeah, it's one of those things where depending on who you are, depending on certain treatment that you'll get and a certain perception of other people. Because a lot of black guys know that black women are going to treat you like shit. They're going to talk to you like shit. And yes, your mama too. and they emasculate you, and it's like you're their property. It's like some bonobo shit. Like they're gonna hold you down and bite your dick off. It's crazy, but that's little. I swear to God, that's like how it is. It's just like when I was talking about earlier about the observations of a lot of emasculated men, and it doesn't matter the economic environment that you're in. You know, lower income, middle class income, you can kind of see the emasculation and where this little mind game with authority is, and how long it's been going on, like even in the 90s and shit like that. So
Yeah,
we're
it's been going on a long time.
well, yeah, that's why I'm not a fan of when they tell men to just grab back their authority and assert, like, if you're a man and you want to grab back the authority, you essentially, you don't live with anyone. That's it.
Mm.
Because in society they've pretty much taken away all male authority completely, especially once a woman enters the environment. That's it. Like, it's game over for your authority. It's just done.
Yeah. Whatever a woman is.
Right? Yeah, they've. Well, I mean, I understand the mind games and shit they're playing with identity and all that shit like that. It makes, to me, it makes sense from the point of view of where you're just trying to grasp for power, control, and get people on your side. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I forgot what are some of the things that I wanted to talk about today. And I did have. I don't think there were many topics. There was the image of yourself and modern man's self worth, which that is a fucking doozy. So let's just start. I don't know why I think "What's Up, Big Connect" is funny. I don't know where that's from, but it's hilarious. It's even funnier because Forrest's accent makes it funny. But the image of self. So basically, cultivating a strong self-image. That's not an easy thing to just give you, like, because a lot of times I like how for a lot of the self-improvement community and all that shit, they have all these little sayings and all this little shit and these pills and everything like that, and that's supposed to sort of get you. But one of the things that's been pointed out in the manosphere, like since the beginning, is that to essentially get someone to betray their self-interest, you have to get them psychologically. And one of the things is, like I was just previously pointing out, is you want to have them have a low self-worth, a low view of themselves, of their value. And that's done uh, essentially systematic. You have to basically beat that into their head constantly through a lot of gaslighting, a lot of manipulation. And one of the best way, I mean, one of the best ways to really start to kick that off is, yeah, you gaslight the shit out of them. You have to have them question their own mind, question their own sanity, question their ability to make the best decisions for themselves. So that way they're reliant and dependent on others, and you especially want them to establish a codependent relationship with whoever, like if you're the abuser, if you're the person who's actually trying to exploit the individual or quote unquote guide them, then yeah, you're going to definitely want them to latch on with a codependent relationship to you, their identity, I mean. And that right there, that's like the groundwork. Now, I wish I could give up some examples, but do you, like, we'll find some as we keep talking along. Oh, oh, that's something different. All right.
Okay.
So, shit. No, I didn't lose my train of thought. Now, a lot of times, our modern example, when you see the son husband, and we see a lot of them. Well, I've seen a lot of them. Um, all right, kind of thrown off, but yeah, the son husband. So when you see a lot of them, and you see that they're, well, hold on, let me actually switch gears a little bit on that topic, because I actually think it's a little disturbing, because essentially they're finding comfort in their mother, right? Like a security blanket. But one of the necessary steps to being a healthy adult male is to let go of that, is the detachment from your quote unquote security blanket, from your attachment figure. Because, you know, from my point of view, you're supposed to be your anchor. No one else can be your anchor for your stability, like for your foundation, for you. That's not how that's going to work. But it's pushed that, and you see this in a lot of media and shit too, a lot, where you have these guys that they need their mother to basically bring them back to sanity or to bring them back to stability, which makes no goddamn sense. Because let's be honest, as a healthy male, right, yourself as an individual, you're your own autonomous unit. The person who brings you back to sanity, the person who brings you down to, like, who keeps you grounded is you. That's the only motherfucker available to do that. And to promote the idea that there's always going to be this woman that you essentially go back to have yourself, I guess, stabilized. Because, and I say that because when you look at the way they try to portray that, the guy is in a distraught emotional state. Something happened that kind of threw his world upside down. And so he goes there to get his mother to basically console him so that he feels comforted that everything is okay, that he did nothing wrong, that he is a good man. And so the idea is that as far as your self-image goes, it can't be complete through your own feedback. The feedback has to be external. There has to be someone else to allow you to feel secure within who you are. So instead of you validating your own actions, decisions, and being, there has to be someone else to validate all of that. And without that, essentially, the door for you to be an effective individual is locked. So when we start talking about the idea of the male self-image, like the self-image of what you see yourself as, I've talked about it in also different ways of talking about the your moral mirror, sort of like your internal moral image. And this is something that I think actually I would like to find out a lot more about this. If there's any type of reading or anyone who talks about that subject, they probably 100% use different terminology, some shit that sounds a lot more educated and has a lot more syllables, on what we kind of have so far as an idea as to what really contributes to that. From my experience and from what I've observed, it seems that that's not something that a lot of times we can consciously actually articulate, but it will come and it'll express itself, just sort of like guilt, right? Mm. So when we talk about guilt, guilt is what you should be doing, and you feel guilty because you weren't doing it. You weren't fulfilling a purpose or task, right? But there are times when a person will feel guilt and they don't know where it comes from. They don't feel like they as far as they're tracking, right? They didn't do anything wrong. They can't count back to what went wrong. Why would they feel there's no incident or event that previously occurred that to their understanding of themselves they should feel guilty about, but yet they do. And it's not until something basically triggers sort of like an emotional reaction to allow them to understand like that's what it was. And then they understand more about themselves through that, because it basically revealed it to themselves, you know what I mean? Like, in the sort of like it's like if you're a guy, right? You've been through some shit, right? And as far as you're concerned, it never affected you or something like that. But there's an event that transpires. There's something you see, and it makes you have an emotional reaction, one that you've never had before. And then immediately it clicks in your mind why that would be. And you start understanding that there's an aspect of yourself that through that previous event, it affected who you are internally. And the reason why this is actually kind of important, because that actually is part of the guidance to a lot of your decisions. So who you are morally, who you view yourself as, the image of yourself has a lot to do with a lot of the decisions you will make, the choices you'll make, a lot of your behavioral patterns as well. Well, of course, duh, no shit, all that goes into it. But that's why I think that talking about self-image out loud, actually having the male discussion about those things is important. And it can be a touchy subject because think about like a lot of that shit isn't something that a lot of men can actually easily dredge up. They can't easily just bring that out. It takes a lot of introspection and a lot of time reflecting and paying, like a lot of self-awareness on that. And then after that, you have to be able to talk about it in a composed fashion, articulate it, and then delve further. Now this could be extremely personal, extremely fucking personal. I've talked about some of that shit before in previous streams, and it was kind of hard for me to keep it together. But I asked somebody, and they said they couldn't hear anything distraught in me at all. But internally, that's what was going on, because what I was describing, I didn't realize that morally, it actually went against a lot of who I believe I should be, or how I thought I was constructed. And so that internal, like, moral image that I wanted to keep fulfilling, when I made the decisions that I previously did, went against that. And psychologically, there was an impact internally for that shit. And it caused me to be extremely distraught. In fact, I believe that's one of the reasons why there are certain points in my life where I felt mentally sort of cloudy. I felt mentally disconnected. It's almost like when you see in the movies where somebody walks away after they murdered somebody for the first time, and they seem to just sort of be there. They're going, but they're kind of like hollow. It's that feeling like you're there, you're aware, you could do things, you're efficient, and all that stuff, but there's like there's a disconnect internally. You feel like something's not right. And
that's called cognitive dissonance.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Because that would be holding two contrary beliefs at the same time, which causes a lot of internal discourse, which that is a problem in itself. Yes, that's an extreme problem that you have to sort it out, but the only way you can sort that out is by getting clear on things. So you have to start asking yourself what you actually believe in. And I mean, really asking yourself, not just because if it's like, hey, I believe in freedom, but I do also believe that the government should be able to mandate people to take a vaccine. It's like, are you sure about that? I believe in freedom, but I do believe the government should be able to take kids away from people who are bad parents. And it's like, hey, are you sure about that? Because whatever weapon you use on others will be used against you. And the justification at the end of the day, when there's a moral conflict, is might makes right. And that's how it always has been. That's how it always will be. Again, and even if you have your own army, guess what? That's just you saying, well, I'm stronger than you, so what I say is correct. Nietzsche talked about this. He said that morality is dictated by the strong. That is the prevailing morality. Slave morality is the inversion of that. You're like, all right, so then what's the issue? It depends on your view of things. If you believe yourself to be the downtrodden, oppressed, whatever the fuck, then you're going to go and invert whatever the master morality is. Here's the issue. Normally, those who are actually in power, those who actually are the mighty making the right, normally over time, it's because of the morals that they have that made them effective and to be able to accomplish things. So when you invert that, guess what? Now you're being ineffective out of spite, out of resentment. And resentment does not afford you any effectiveness in life. I don't think I've read Meditations. Maybe I've probably listened to some of it, and I might have like, I don't know. I've got a lot of different audio books for a lot of different philosophy. And I'm trying to make my way through a lot of it, but sometimes I end up getting caught up with different stuff. Like right now, I've got a lot
Marcus
of different
Aurelius.
things. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Marcus Aurelius, isn't it?
Yep.
Meditation.
Yep. Marcus Aurelius. Oh, there was a Marcus quote on the screen. Yeah, actually, I got a lot of different quotes that go through there. I don't know. Quotes are dope, especially if you actually can add an association to them. Inverting mass morality is one thing. Subverting it is another. You're gonna have to explain that. You're gonna have to explain this subverting mass morality. Ma. Nobody. You can't just throw out quotes of your own and then just not back that shit up with something. Because actually, that's what I was gonna point out. So quotes are cool, but you actually have to put some substance on it. So it's just like when you're learning any subject or doing anything, things become harder when you don't have a reference point. This is why I don't like when people say, "Oh, this is above our pay grade to talk about blah blah all this stupid shit." I'm like, "Hey, one, start picking up a book and just reading some shit or anything so that way when you actually can't get to Mike and drop gems soon. You can't get you need to fix if you're doing like text to speech shit, you need to stop because it's not working out well. What the fuck was I saying? Oh, yes. So frame of reference. What frame of reference? We have a mental point of reference. Sorry, mental point of reference. Especially when like you're studying and looking into different shit and shit like that. It's good. It actually makes learning a lot more smoother because you have something to type of grasp onto. Like if you're not well versed or normally engaging in abstract concept and abstract thinking, when you walk into that arena, you're gonna get your ass kicked because that's a muscle mentally that you have to focus on and keep toning and tuning. And I mean, Thomas Sowell, he talked about that too when he was talking about a lot of the IQ tests and stuff like that, the issues that would go on because these are people, and then where the areas they were as far as abstract learning, a lot of abstract thinking and concepts, that wasn't a natural process for them. That wasn't a thing that they did on a day-to-day basis at all. So when they went to do these tests, it looked like basically they were retarded. So you would think that their mental functions were way below than what they actually are. The truth is they just don't practice it. It's just like what I talked about people who, there are some people who are pretty stupid. They actually are bad at math. Like they're actually really, really fucking stupid. But there are other people, they're just out of practice. So if you give them some time, they'll hone that muscle, that mental muscle back together, and they'll be fine. They'll have it perfectly fine. But again, that's why a lot of this shit, life is pretty. It's got a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of shit to it, and the idea of there always being absolutes is normally that dictated by the lazy or power hungry. Well, I mean we're all power hungry, so let's just say lazy. Everybody wants power for one whim or another. Like one of the things that I think is important. Who the hell is Orbs? Oh, Orbs app. I think he's just in the chat. I don't think anybody else hopped in. If they did, they're not speaking. All right. Shit, I forgot what I was saying. Because technically, I need to use the restroom real quick. So if somebody could monologue, or do you want me to just play some music? I could play a little thing.
I'll talk for a while.
All right, cool. I'll be right back.
Evening. Okay. Cheers, SFM. SFM's just gone to the restroom. I'm sure he needs a pee. It's interesting having looked. Well, I've been off the radar for quite a while, but it's interesting listening to how people's perspectives have maintained in the last few years. I know that talk about power and all the rest of it. The big power is going your own way and really staying out of the way of the estrogenic life forms. And Stoicism is a good guide to that because you just become self-aware and aware of your surroundings. It's really been quite a difficult period of time over the last few years because I know that MGTOW, if you look it up, it's twinned with misogyny, which is so far from reality. I don't know what you think, Emma. Would you say it seems to have been sidelined as misogyny, and now we've got all these mainstream, like Hollywood type channels, like whatever channel, Fresh and Fit. They all seem to be just hacking away at women, and if you were that not bothered by women, you certainly won't engage with them.
Oh well, yeah, no, they're gonna stay. It's a one-trick pony. They'll never stop talking
Yeah, it
about
is.
modern women.
It
They'll never
is.
stop featuring modern women. The interesting thing is that to make that content, they pay those women to appear on those panels.
Mm.
So you're incentivizing the hoe archetype to show up and then present her in a certain way. It's all a scam, and it only
Of course
serves.
it is.
Yeah, it's all a scam. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean, if you have so many complaints about something, you just would stop buying. I know that it would be great to wake up in the morning and have some bit of fluff there, but ultimately, it's like that. I'm fond of saying they're like chocolate bars, very well presented, rather expensive, very sweet to start, and in the end, they make you feel sick and bad for your health. So, I don't understand why there's been this twist, which is why I guess it's very, very, very important to analyze who you are as a man. It's been quite an interesting journey. When did I start? This is
and that's just that's it.
2016,
Like so, when you
2017.
spend most of your time talking shit about dumb women, there is no time. There's no demand for you to analyze yourself.
No, absolutely none.
You're
So
not,
it's
you're
really
And
not
it's
actually
bread
funny.
going
and
nowhere.
circus. That's all they're
Yeah,
not. They're not even offering red pills. They're just offering bread and circus. So
correct. Yeah, that's exactly right. The last few years, I've left education, gone into business, moved from my hometown to near south of Manchester. We've gone from 2 people in the company to somebody's gone. We've gone from 2 people in the business to now 8. We've got a new guy starting tomorrow, and we've got several income streams. So all that without the distraction of the estrogenic life forms. So if I gave estrogenic life forms consideration or personal time, I wouldn't have been able to do any of what I've done. Now that's the argument presented by these whatever podcasts and Fresh and Fit and all the rest of it, as if that's a get back at estrogenics. Well, it isn't. It's just you just done that now. That's had its time. Thank you, but no thank you. See ya. Don't want to know. And all this stuff like even this passport bro nonsense. It's exactly that. Why would you go from one scenario with estrogenic life forms to another scenario with the identical biology? It's like, well, crabs walk sideways, don't they? Well, you're just changing one group of crabs for another. Why would you do that? It's absolutely nuts. I don't know what you think of that. I mean, why would you go over to Thailand or Thailand, however you pronounce it, to swap one series of problems for another?
yeah,
Insane.
what I
It's
find really
absolutely.
interesting is that there's actually passport bros that when they're not glamorizing the lifestyle, when they don't mention that half of the women they show up in pictures or videos with are paid, like when they're not doing the whole flex, like sometimes they'll engage in argument about social issues or political issues, and they bitch about the state of the West, and yet they're exporting the state of the West to wherever they end up going as a tourist or as an
Yeah.
expat. So it's interesting. So
It's a version of exploitation, if you ask me. It's pretty poor show,
in
really.
a way, it's kind of like it's low key a form of very colonization, because like
Yeah,
if
that's exactly my conclusion. It's
yeah,
exactly that. Of course it is. Well, how else could you see it? So you're going from your supposed rich country over to a less, what you consider to be a lesser society, which in itself is an utter arrogance.
and what's funny about it is that I guess I'm not going to dictate anything to any individual man. I don't have any qualms with people traveling, even under the guise of like things that I would agree with, like sexual tourism. I don't care. What I do take exception with is when these same men lie about the risks that are involved, because what they rarely mention is the number of scams, the attitudes of the local men of the communities that they're, going to. Like, they're not selling you the whole picture. And so that's going to influence younger, naive men to partake in this colonization project, and they might get harmed, hurt, or left astray, led astray. So
Yeah, or get dead. I mean, it's just nuts. I can understand it, but what's it rocking up if somebody came into my backyard and said, "Oh, well, I'm better than you, so I'm going to take your women and this." I'd think, well, that's not great, actually. That's affecting society. That's upsetting the apple cart. It's a difficult one. It is. It's a difficult one. I
yeah,
know it
and
happened
then
over here. Sorry, go on.
if those communities suffer from, like a natural disaster, or something happens to the economy, or there's some, great calamity of some sort, they're immediately going to be targets. And just as being Westerners, they don't understand that. A lot of there's an arrogance to a Western mentality that, like, you should. A lot of us don't even bother to assimilate. There are some, like, passport bros that don't even bother to learn languages. They don't care about customs, right? Like, so, and it's strange because, like, the opposite's not true, because you hear the same arguments like, hey, if you come to the U.S., you should learn English, this, that, and the third. But this isn't done in reverse all the time. So, like, it's very inconsistent,
That's true. I mean, they do in Europe, England particularly. Those perfidious album, The Untrustworthy British or English, and they also in France they call us les Anglais paresseux, the lazy English, because we don't learn French. Well, I did. I ended up living
Yeah,
with
but
a French girl, but that's another story. But generally speaking, British indigenous characters, they're just very language lazy. So
yeah,
you're
but nobody
right.
cares
It's
about
an
the French.
absolute arrogance to go over to somebody else's country and say, "Oh yeah, I'm here for your women." I mean,
Yeah, no,
it's
without a
as you
doubt.
say, it's colonization.
And it's a kind of colonization that isn't state sponsored. You don't got an army behind you. So
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you
Good luck.
navigate that wrongly, no one's going to come to help you. So
No, exactly right. Good grief! Imagine. Oh no. Well, you've heard the Eddie Murphy skit, haven't you, where he brings somebody over from Africa and she's got a long flowing hair and she's beautiful sitting on a zebra. And he brings her over to New York within 2 weeks of talking to Americans.
yep.
His African girlfriend's going, Eddie, I want half.
Half, Eddie.
I don't know if. Yeah, half, Eddie. I need half.
You don't respect me. I'm an American woman.
Yeah, yeah,
What have you done for me lately?
yeah. It's hilarious. Hilarious.
And then
Really,
his
really
dumbass
funny.
got married. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
He didn't.
What was that from Raw? Was that on the stand up Raw, or was it from Delirious?
I
What
think
was
that
it?
was from
It's a
Delirious,
long
wasn't it?
time ago. It's 80s, isn't it?
Hold on. Now
A
I gotta
long
look
time ago.
because holy shit. Yeah, it was Raw.
Okay.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah.
What year's that? 80, 88? 85, maybe.
I watched that stand up so many goddamn times. 87. That shit was 2 years before I was born.
87. Wow.
Nah, that's
Yeah, I
not
was just
possible. You're an old man. You're 87 now, so the math ain't mathin', bro. Like,
Wow. And, you forgot the character
you,
too. You're
That's
right.
it.
you know what? You may have blacked out. I think you were a writer on that some of those films. You were there. Yeah. So
It's like I was an intern doing light work.
yeah,
But
you
yeah,
were delivering lattes to the actresses.
right. So but no, as far as the manosphere and a lot of guys focusing on stupid shit and all that, that's been going on forever and that's nothing new. And it's pretty simple after a while you see that the idea, and Messenger pointed this out in his video. It was actually, check out Messenger's video. Shit, I forgot the title because it's part 2. It doesn't match part 1, but it's really good. It's really good because he actually points out that a lot like these, because, and also I want to point out before, this is a while back, the insult towards a lot of like dudes who are monk and shit like that was a bunch of bitter old men. That's what it was, just a grumpy old man, just like angry at women or some shit. But now if you look, one, because I've been celibate for a long ass time, but when you look around, if you notice, one, I don't talk about bitches like that. I don't care. But if you look at a lot of these dudes, one of these like PUAs and all this shit, to me they're normies. As far as I'm concerned, they're just a bunch of blue pill dudes. I don't give a fuck how cool you sound with a lot of shit you say and all this stuff and these qualifiers for modern masculinity that you fit. The truth is, they're fucking obsessed with women. They're obsessed with sex. They're obsessed with getting external validation. And they're staying in this place where they're fucking reveling. They're steaming. They're fuming over the current situation and how exploitative it is and how they can't overcome it with a lot of the strategies and tactics they're using. And then essentially they exploit the shit out of other men. So it becomes like this little weird ass pyramid scheme type deal. And then yet they try to act that anyone that criticizes them is actually bitter and angry and all this other stupid shit, where I'm like, one, you can go fuck yourself. Two, let's talk about something real quick. So you're a guy, right? You're going through life and you think you're a good man. In your mind, you're a good person, right? And so you're going along doing these things that you've been brought up and culture and inculcated to, all this shit, right? You're going along with it and you get fucking destroyed. Let's say you get accused of rape or you get a fucking DV charge. Your kids get taken from you. You get divorced, they take your house, all your shit, and you're like, I did everything right. I don't understand. I did everything correct. I didn't do anything wrong. Why is this happening to me? And you're going and everyone keeps fucking lying to you. They keep telling you all this shit. And now you're finally finding the truth. You found out that even your family was setting you up to fail. Everyone who you trusted. The whole system itself. And that guess what? There is no justice for you. Instead, you're going to have to accept this. And you're going to have to move on. And no. Nothing's coming back. You're not getting your family back. You're not getting your stuff back. All the time, energy, and efforts you put in, it's gone. And you've got to accept that. And you better have a fucking smile in your face. And you're telling me that he can't be angry? You're telling me that the moment he speaks out and tries to express himself, he needs to be silenced? Because the exact morals, the exact culture, the exact lessons that brought him to this horrible place in life, this horrible spot of being distraught mentally, that those same guidelines are the reason why he can't be angry. That you're going to throw those right back at him. And that he's supposed to silence himself. And he's still supposed to go along and still maintain, basically keeping that framework internally. So it can all happen to him again. And this time he's going to keep a smile on his face. And no, that's not going to happen. That shouldn't fucking happen. Don't be retarded. Fuck them and fuck everything they're talking about. Once you have the awareness, guess what? Be angry. I was angry for a while. Shit ton of aggression. You goddamn right. And if you're asking, and I'll give you a free piece of chicken. If you want to know where the pain goes, the pain dies with you. As in, it doesn't go actually anywhere. It's deep in there. Because you can work through all that shit. You can move on. You can process. You can do all that stuff. But the problem is, it's part of you now. All of it becomes part of you. And you just keep moving on. And here's the thing. This is where you learn to embrace the pain. In fact, you find amor fati. You're better now. Think about all you've learned, all you've been through. And now think about how resilient you are. Think about the next time you get hit. In fact, when you experience the next hit, you don't even flinch. Believe me, a lot of people want to play escapism. They want to play the game of how do I feel better? It's not about feeling better. One of the hardest things to teach yourself and to condition yourself to do is to stop trying to chase pleasure. It's not going to get you what you think it is.
Yep, hedonism's a disaster. It's ruined society. Look at it. That's what you're talking about, isn't it? Really, essentially, hedonism.
Yeah, the blind seeking of pleasure.
The blind seeking of pleasure. Yeah.
So
I mean that.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it struck me today again. I was going through town and all these people are going through shops just to get stuff to try and satiate some inbuilt greed, some nubble that cannot be satisfied. It's like a hunger, whether it's an entertainment format or fast food or something, buy something. Yeah, everybody's complaining that there's no cash. Of course, there's plenty of cash. But it's this seeking all the time of something to give you a buzz, whereas in the actual real thing you should be seeking is the friendship of others and an opportunity to be kind, because you push it one way, you get it back from another direction. That's true satisfaction, not going out for some short term. It's all short termism. Everything's just what do you call it? No delayed gratification.
Oh,
It's
no,
all
no
got to be
discipline.
that's it. There's no discipline. There's no. I mean, look at the obesity crisis. Oh, give me that. I'll take that. I'll have this. Just disgusting. And I guess it's getting worse for me because I'm getting older. So
no, actually,
I'm
so it
not
turns
wrong.
out when you get
I'm not
older, you
wrong.
just have to
I'm
change how
not
you
wrong.
do some shit. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like I look into that a lot, and also, a fun fact because JK be putting up on us on a lot of health channels. So when you get older, you need more protein.
Yeah, I believe so. I've started to increase my protein a little bit. But I've also don't know why that is. I think it's because you can't uptake it as fast. I believe if you take leucine, you can get yourself back to needing less protein. I don't know how true that is. Raw science for you.
Well, the rough hand that I heard was basically you're like, what I think he used the term like anabolic resistance or something like that. So essentially, your body becomes I guess a lot more resistance to the muscle building process, and so you need more protein to facilitate it as time goes on. And
Really?
I've felt
Okay.
this because for a while I'm like, what the hell is going on? Because I'm like, normally I could do this and maintain this diet and I'm fine. And I was dropping like weight and strength. And I'm like, what the fuck? I guess I was devouring myself. And then so I started eating more protein. Like for a week I just upped it. Like I'm like, fuck it, let me just push it all the way up here, and then I'll slowly scale down and see what happens. And everything just exploded back up. So I'm like, holy shit. So basically, I was depriving myself, and that's why. And so what it was is, as time goes on, as you age, you do have to increase the amount of protein you intake. Which I'll be honest, yeah, that shit's expensive. But honestly, if you live alone and you're a pretty productive dude, you'll be fine. Like you'll be fine. You can up the protein. You can change your diet. You'll be fine. Decent I get like what's it called? Unflavored protein powder. It's like 25 grams protein per scoop. Take that in the morning. Collagen, that's good for like your joints and shit like that too, but it also has some protein in there too. I think the one that I use, it's got like 13 grams of protein per serving. And then I found out the sardines and like tuna, space that out because it has like you might have some mercury in that shit or something. So you want to space that out. You don't want to take that too much. But also get plenty of eggs. Have plenty of goddamn eggs. And as far as other meats, beef is up, but you know, chicken and pork, they're always there. You're gonna get plenty of protein from that too. And then beans, especially what are they called? Black beans. So those are lower in sugar than if you had something like fucking kidney beans or something like that, or especially those goddamn like baked beans with all that sugar and all that shit in there. Stay away from that. What's wrong with you? So you guys like some black beans or northern grape beans? Those are great because they're low in sugar, but they're still decent in protein. And so you'll be
a little bit of a
yeah. So and you definitely want to make sure you've got plenty of fiber. So don't be afraid to mix in as many different vegetables as you can. Like that's definitely what you want to do. Because if think about it, if your ability to go through the whole anabolic process is getting deteriorated, think about what your digestive system is going through. So you want to make sure you get plenty of goddamn fiber. But yeah, so I know a lot of guys, they especially who actually understand and they're not retarded and they observe and you know they understand a lot of the manosphere and what we've talking about for all these years and all this shit. And they hear these guys just, you know, scamming and all this shit. Like you just have to understand, look, it is what it is. You're not gonna save people from themselves. If somebody's seeking that shit out, that's because that's what they want to do, and they're currently right now that's what they're after. And to save someone from themselves, like they wouldn't, you're not gonna do what you think you're gonna do. It's gonna turn out pretty bad. So essentially, you let them go on, but you could give out like you know little quips, little things, like some information. Talking, we're at a point now where a lot of guys are gonna feel the thunder. They're gonna feel the heat when they start speaking, and that's fine. That was always the case. Like think about name what period and throughout of history where speaking was not gonna get some shit like thrown on you, where you might not have a bad time if somebody didn't like what you said. That's always the case. That's never going to change. The thing is, be a little bit more tactful. Have a little strategy. Like Emma was pointing out earlier, a lot of philosophers, the reason why, or a lot of like old wise men and shit, the reason why they spoke the way they did, because speaking direct normally was no benefit to the receiver and the speaker. So instead, you start speaking in different ways and there are some people they'd catch on, and that actually it worked to verify a couple things at once, which is always hey, if you're smart, you're going to want to verify multiple things at once. It helps. It's faster. You know what I mean? It's more efficient. Because finding out somebody's competency level and also understanding what knowledge they might previously already hold, what experiences, what concepts might they be already able to grasp. And you could do that within like a couple of sayings or some shit. You just knocked off a lot of time. And you might actually help this person. Now, they may not be able to understand what you're conveying. They may not have the experience or the aptitude yet to be able to grasp that. But eventually they will. And by that time, maybe they'll remember what you said. Maybe. It's just, it's one of those things. So, I think it's a good practice to practice a little bit of tact in speaking. Being direct to me is one of those things where it's like, hey, I'm gonna just try. I think that's more a lot of times. That's more ourselves saying, hey, I'm gonna show you directly to yourself. You're saying this to yourself that I'm actually giving an effort to sort of assist this motherfucker. And then after that, it's like, all right, cool. I'm closing this out. I'm not doing this anymore. They clearly can't get it, and it's fine. They'll figure it out the hard way on their own or not at all. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right. Let's see. So MA is indisposed. We talked about self-image. And the other part was self-worth. Self-worth? Self-worth. Male self-worth in the common day and age is fucking dog shit. In fact, just the concept of masculinity itself is pretty fucked up. It's actually pretty bad. where is it at? I had one pulled up earlier, and I scrolled down to a part, and I guess I can read some of it. It's not. Look, just don't. This isn't outrage porn, so don't get all crazy. But all this is just, I guess you would call it like a jumping off point. So let me go ahead and bring this one up, and it's the same old shit. Now I just want to grab this so we can go ahead and move this topic on. Oh yeah, no, that's right. So just come here. There we go. Oh, here. Let me do this so you can see it too. So there you go. All right. So Susie Orbach's opinion piece. We are all vulnerable. That's where the new conversation about masculinity begins. I don't know who the fuck Susie Orbach is. Get right to the point. Men need to reset their relationship with masculinity. Power, privilege, and prestige, the perks of traditional manhood. Let's keep moving. Have distracted men from embracing vulnerability and inclusivity as strengths. What does that mean? If you actually have any type of fucking sense in your noggin, you know that one. In fact, we were talking about this, I think last night, and it was about men pride, showing emotions and shit like that, and a lot of, as a man, you're essentially against the world while still being in a relationship with it, like still needing it, and it's like this weird fucked up relationship. So essentially, it's you versus everybody while still needing to cooperate. And so the idea of showing vulnerability, you've got people around you constantly who are willing to just knock you down the moment they find your weaknesses. And so it's pretty much, I'd say at this point, it's damn near like instinct for you to pretty much mask a lot of that shit. And that's one of the good and bad parts about pride and shit like that and ego is, yeah, it can help you with masking a lot of those vulnerabilities and issues, but at the same time, it can make you blind to them too, which is an issue in itself. You need to acknowledge your vulnerabilities and your weaknesses so that way you can build yourself up and you can know yourself better. And if you can't fix them, if essentially you find a way to supplement them. Inclusivity. All they're saying basically is you need to bring others that would fuck up or are against your values or would take from you. You need to allow them in anyway. So essentially, you need to decrease your power on purpose out of altruism and charity because a woman said so. Masculinity is a construct that can be imagined. Technically, that's not true. So when we talk about masculinity, it's from that of being a man. It's the attributes of a male. A lot of the characteristics as well. We're talking about psychologically and we're talking about physically. So when you talk about masculinity, I mean, yeah, the word is a construct. We made the word to basically be sort of like a signifier, a label, a way of communicating an idea, an understanding, a thing that exists. Just like, the word fucking cat. So reimagined and reshaped over generations. Well, that's because the environments change. And because the cultures are different in different places. So in one place, your steps to manhood and what the culture sees beneficial that it promotes and incentivizes for men may be different in a different part of the world or a different place. Many traditional behaviors associated with masculinity are quite lovely and appreciated. When they say shit like that little cherry picking shit, you're basically saying what benefits me. So what benefits me and doesn't cost me anything. It's extremism that makes masculinity toxic. I don't trust shit that starts talking about extreme anything. Never have, never will. Let me scroll down to where it was that I was looking at. I think I might have lost my spot because when I fucking. All right, the risk of gender-based individuality, but work culture such as corporations, public institutions, where uncertainty regarded as weakness for organizations that must become more efficient. Maybe the most efficient way to improve our lives be considerate. No. All right. So I'm not gonna. Yeah, no, bitch. So I'm not gonna keep going into that. All right. Stop that. And let's get back to what we were talking about. So the reason why I thought that was funny is because as the environment shifts and things get more difficult, and as things go on, what you're going to see, and I want a lot of guys to be aware of this, I want you to understand that no, this is not some fucking scenario we're about to have like war brides and all this shit, and there's a return to masculinity and all this. Nothing is actually going to change. People's behaviors and their gestures are going to be slightly altered. Now, what does that mean? In that article, if you paid attention to what it actually was, when I skimmed through that, what it was a plead for men to basically bend the fucking knee some more. Give me shit. Serve me. Now, when you are in power and you start talking like that, that lets me know that you're a little worried. I was scaring all the hoes. That's funny. No, actually, women, they don't like men that can't control. So if you don't show any interest in their vagina or something like that, you don't seem very controllable, they don't like you because you don't make them feel safe. So they want men that they feel they can control, that have like an interest in them, so they can feel safe and all that shit. So it's not about stopping it. So it's about it's essentially about trying to bring men back. And I talked about this like some years ago about the plantation wranglers. And so men are like, hey, fuck this shit, I'm gonna do my own thing. And what you'll have first is you'll have men, of course, you'll have other men trying to, and let me put it like, it's like you can see this in different scenarios in life where it's like this dude comes to you like he's your friend, who wants to talk to you in the locker room, and essentially he's gonna plead to you first before he tries to whip your ass. A lot of men take that role. For me, I see like the PUAs and shit, I see them as that. And that's why I see a lot the tradcons especially. Those motherfuckers, a lot of guys, look, I'm not advocating violence or anything like that, but I'm just saying a lot of the tradcons and shit like that, like, you know, the hard right traditionalists and all that shit, they seem like they want to violently enslave men in the name of traditional family values and shit. And I'm like, that's cool and all, but shit's gonna get real. It's gonna get pretty physical around this bitch. You keep that up. Because no. Fucking no. Alright, yeah. Thanks for stopping by. Monk Music, it was good to see you. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, good to see you. I'm sorry. It's what is it? It's 11:15 here on a Sunday night, so I'm gonna have to call it a day. Yeah, you're talking a lot of sense. I'd love to stay. I would. Are you? Do you go up every Sunday evening?
When I can. Sometimes work gets in the way. Today I was like,
yeah,
fuck it, I'm just
well,
relax. So I probably got a shit ton of work I'm gonna have
yeah.
to do as soon as I get done with this stream, but it'll be alright.
Yeah, I'm sorry I've not been dropped in. I must admit, my subscription, for some reason, the bell notification wasn't on.
Those
Because
don't
I'd have
work.
joined in long since. Yeah, they shite. Anyway,
Yeah,
okay.
don't worry.
Well, good to see you, gents, and thanks for having me, and I'll hopefully speak to you soon. Take care, lad.
Yep.
All
Have a good
right,
night.
See
peace.
you later. Yeah, you too. Good night, gents.
Yeah.
See you. Bye.
All right, then yeah, man wrangling, pleading. Oh yeah, but so no, what I want a lot of guys to understand, and what you need to look for, you need to look for this because it's pretty simple manipulation. It's pretty goddamn simple. So of course they're gonna play to the ego, and what they want to do is they want to cast the understanding to you that things have actually changed. But it's quite simple. Nothing changed at all. The laws haven't changed, the consequences on you haven't changed, and the treatment you're going to receive as soon as they know they got you locked in isn't going to change. In fact, just to say it so bluntly, unless there are some actual physical motherfucking consequences for getting treated like shit and enslaved, that's not going to stop. I'm not advocating anything. Don't FBI me, bro. But
Too late.
It's the truth. But no, it's the fucking truth. Because at this point, what consequences are there? Now, there are going to be consequences environmentally, of course, because of a lot of things that are coming on economically. Because at that point, we're not at the point yet where men are going to allow themselves to be enslaved en masse. Not yet. But you will see a lot of pleading to men's morality, men's protecting women. And one of those is the beacon to step up and then also to push that enforcement on other men. Which I've got, I believe me, we could be cool, we could be all great, but the moment that I see that you're working on you're just basically working on the side of enslaving the shit out of me. I mean, I'm not. Hey, I don't even have to paint a picture.
Pick your master. We have masters now. What's the difference?
Yeah, basically.
That it's going to be tricky to navigate if there's a regime change. But I mean, will it really change the reality that we'll still? But like, it doesn't matter if you switch the master. Can you? Should we plead with the incoming master? Does any of that really make a difference? Not really. It depends on what level of the game that you're playing, and that's the whole point. It's like there are options where you can minimize your engagement to all of that. You know what I mean? So, but we don't get to choose our masters. So we do get to choose if we recognize them as being legitimate masters, though. So that part we get to do. Did you just be right back me again, bro? And like the third time I started to talk, he's like, "Oh, this is a good time to use the restroom." I just switched from to my PC, so the mic quality should be better. Got a feeling though we're probably gonna wrap it up soon. I don't know that, but I got the sense. No. I'm responsible for no dead air.
All right, cool. So
Yeah, exactly.
what?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's if you got any sense behind your head, well, in your head, I don't know. You'll know what to look for. You'll see it. You'll hear it, and don't be dumb enough to fall for that shit. Like, dude, I know a lot of guys. They want some semblance of community and all that shit. I mean, you could find some somewhere. Just have an eye. Like, start thinking out the box. Change your thinking a little bit.
Well, there's a massive okie doke that will probably work, and it goes in. It dovetails into what you were saying. If a force emerges and provides or restores a bit of male authority, many of those men will repay that restoration of authority with subservience. So if you can trick men into thinking, okay, hey, yo, we finally heard you. You guys have had it bad. Here's a little bit of authority back. Now serve us. That's how it's going to go down.
Oh, they don't have to tell them to serve them. They're going to. So right now, there's a lot of guys. They're completely fucking. What's the word I'm looking for? When you don't, where you're, no, not depraved. Well, not like you're thirsty, but you haven't had anything in a while.
Deprived?
Is it deprived?
Depraved is like degenerate, like you're in some weird shit. You're depraved.
No, what's the other?
Deprived is just a lacking of. You're just lacking sustenance or something. Deprived.
No, what's the D word where you're like starving or some shit?
Deprived.
Sure, I don't think that's right. I know that's probably not the word I was.
It's. I am completely right. We're talking a difference between an I and an A, and they mean two different things. So
I don't know. I feel like that wasn't it, but all right, fine. Completely deprived.
Yep, Orbs. Orbs just checked you. Checkmate. Deprived. I got a cosign. Boom.
Okay. All right. Fine. All right. Whatever. I'll take this L. Look, so there are a lot of men that are deprived. You're not gonna have to. They're seeking it. Like, think about all the guys that would leave the country and go somewhere like Thailand thinking they could have a wife if it was that easy. If it was made easy and affordable, think about how many men in middle America would just fucking bounce. It would.
Well, I don't know. I don't. Well, no. So here's the deal. So there's going to be a conflict of desires and comforts. So a lot of men wouldn't choose to do it because they're actually kind of satisfied with the whatever they got here, including all the numerous distractions. So unless their hand is forced and some of those distractions and creature comforts go away, a lot of dudes will just stay. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm good." Like they got their bread and circus, they got their distractions, they got video games, they got and there's so many. There's like we do live in an era of a myriad of distractions, right? So like I think that will keep a lot of dudes in check. If that goes away, all bets are off, right? So.
But wait, isn't a lot of that going away?
Depends on how you would define going away. Is a lot of it being subverted? Is every distraction a man might avail himself to being subverted in some way? Yes. But are they actually going away? No.
Yeah, right.
And in the process of all the subversion, the Overton window pretty much took effect, and the things that men claim they won't accept, they keep accepting. Like, oh, the video games keep getting worse. Then why do you keep buying them?
Because man, I gotta do something.
It's like, oh, everything's getting over sexualized. Then why are you on OnlyFans?
Because
Like,
man, I gotta. I don't know. Yeah, it's actually well because they don't see any alternative, and so instead of going without, they just have to do that. That's essentially it. I think it's funny. I mean, it's not funny like ha ha funny. It's funny like that's crazy.
it's Joker. It's Joaquin Phoenix Joker funny.
Don't they have a word? Okay, what's the term for it? Where it's like that sort of like dark funny. It's like the bad funny.
I'm not sure. You're not talking about Schadenfreude or Schorden. Oh, can't even say the word. Fucking Germans. Schadenfreude?
Schadenfreude?
Schadenfreude? Schadenfreude. Oh shit! You nailed it. I fucked it up. There you go.
I said it? Oh shit! I didn't track mentally.
You said it right. I was butchering the hell out of that. I'm supposed to have German blood too. There's no excuse.
I don't think blood translate to, I don't know, speaking the language. I don't think that's how it works.
That's not what the woke tell me. I was born with original sin, don't you know?
I bought Lies of P. I'm gonna assume plantation because I thought that I would get hoes. Better than being on the plantation. So yeah, men's sex drive is fucking strong as shit. And one of the actual like the core drivers of that is making a family and having community and basically being useful in that community and essentially just keeping that strong. Like you see this when you notice a lot of men's behaviors, like these middle-aged men and their neighborhoods and shit. I don't know how much that's prevalent now, but before, like when I was growing up, that was a big thing, and it was because of what essentially, basically, they were allowed to express that. They were allowed to express those instincts. But now that'll get you in some deep shit. You're gonna get headhunted pretty quick. So it's not really a thing.
But before its current iteration, it already started to devolve because that sense of community, right? And kind of almost it's a building of alliance. Men will find alliance in their neighbors, which makes complete logical sense. And then, but the first time it was subverted isn't the one we're in now. The first time it was subverted is when keeping up the Jones became more important than creating alliances.
Yep.
So now it's about flexing on your neighbor, or no. First it became about flexing on your neighbor, and now it's complete all-out apathy. Nobody trusts anybody. Communities are unraveling at an alarming rate. So.
Yep. And that will change so quick once the pain starts. Because I know a lot of people think it's going to be like just nothing but blood and turmoil. Yeah, maybe at first. But you forget there are some people who aren't completely retarded who actually have an idea of logic and shit. We're like, hey, especially when that male protector instinct turns on, you can't fight the world yourself. A lot of guys they're not gonna admit it or say it out loud. But have you ever seen the fear in a man's eyes who wants to protect his family? It's not pathetic. And also, it's odd because that motherfucker is somewhat rational at the same time. But you can still see that at this heightened state. So, you'd be surprised. Again, that's why there's no absolutes and you can't predict. Because again, individuals, you never know what somebody's made of. There are a lot of people, they misjudge the fucking shit out of me. So fucking bad.
I love it.
Like, holy shit. And it is what
Well-
it is. And it's not my job to correct them either. But I think it's funny because a lot of times in life we walk around with a lot of these like preconceptions and all these assumptions and notions and all this shit, and we take a lot of our past experiences and apply them to everything because we're fucking lazy. When in reality, we should, when we are able to, go ahead and analyze the situation for what it is and also cut off a lot of that anticipation bullshit. Because we're sitting there predicting like we know. We don't fucking know. There's certain things to look for, yeah. But guess what? The best way to be loose and reflex a punch is when you're not anticipating it. When you're calm. And you're making sure that you're alert and observant, but you're not anxious. So you're relaxed. And it's something that, I don't know, that should be passed on a lot more. It should be talked about a little bit more, in my opinion. You know? Try to pass on some ways like to have a good demeanor, a way to have a good way of carrying yourself. That's why a lot of that shit was important. This is not a Wendy's. All right, that's why a lot of that shit was important. It's important for you to pass that on to young men when they're growing up, teaching them how to fight, teaches them a lot of how to conduct themselves and analyze things in life. It's extremely beneficial. But they're basically that's pretty much gone too. So it's amazing the amount of people I've met. Even when I was growing up, I met so many motherfuckers. They'd never been in a fight. They didn't know how to fight. Any of that shit. And it's like when life hit them, they didn't know what to do. And then you meet their dad, and you're like, oh, I get it. And then you see in their home environment, you're like, oh shit, I get it. This all makes sense. It's all adding up now. And that's not shit. People think that's like a personal thing. That's not. Hey, that's nothing against who or what you are. That's just an observation on, oh, this is what it is, and this is normally this is some of the outcomes because of this.
No, I'm offended, and you need to take it back, and you need to fix that I'm offended.
No, I can't do that. It's not possible.
Fix it.
You can't.
Fix it.
I can't.
You got to fix it.
It's not
Your
possible.
fault. Fix it.
Fault is not responsibility. Not the same thing. Fault and responsibility aren't the same thing. So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, we're talking about the man wrangling, all that other shit, and yeah, I don't think it's actually gonna. I think the average dude. So once the heat turns on, the average dude is gonna be so worried about protecting his family and shit like that and everything like that. You're gonna see a lot of bonds being formed too. I mean, if you're alive, you're gonna see a lot of bonds being formed, and a lot of people like really working together and shit. Because that when the environment gets rough, that's normally how things go down. Because when you're scared,
I don't even know.
there's a couple reactions, but a lot of the people who get scared and do crazy shit, you're not gonna see them later on.
No, I don't think the writing on the wall is so obvious sometimes. It feels like the rate of information that suggests that we're in free fall collapse, and the rate of information that suggests that we're simply in transition, a civilizational transition, they're pretty much even and even. So unless we want to like smuggle male intuition into it, like I don't think anybody can really accurately call it.
Not at all.
And if you can't accurately call it, all you can really do is do your best to prepare for any outcome, right?
Yeah. That's all you can do. I don't know. So, one, This is where I get a little issue with some people. Talking about shit is perfectly fine. Talking about stuff, perfectly fine. You want to just mentally throw some shit around, talk. Cause I'll put it like this, like point this out, like you noticed it years ago. Well, we all noticed it years ago. We were talking about a lot of stuff, and then a lot of guys will go out and try to talk about a lot of these ideas and concepts with other people, those normies and all that shit in IRL. And they see the reaction, they see that shit, and they're like, "Oh shit, can't do that." And you find that there's not a lot of spaces for you to talk openly about a lot of ideas and concepts and all those things. So you're kind of left to let that shit bottle in, which is an issue. That's an extreme issue because one, what's gonna happen? It's gonna manifest. It's gonna express itself in some fucked up behaviors that you don't want because they're gonna be basically why can't I word today? God damn. They're gonna be counter to your goals. They're not gonna be
It's because you
productive.
didn't fix it. You can't talk anymore because I hexed you because you refused to take back offense. So
Oh
that's
no,
what
I didn't
happened there.
realize you were a Wiccan. Fuck.
Don't you know what time all right, Wiccan is some new hippie shit invention where they just take from old Celtic and fucking druid shit. Men started all mystic schools. Men started all the cool ancient cults. All that. Women ain't shit. Women ain't witches. So, and when they try to be witches, they always do it wrong. So,
I don't know what a witch is. I don't get it.
he's a warlock. Yeah, no, I'm not a warlock. I wouldn't want to be a warlock. That's too much.
What? All right, whatever. Anyways, so nah, it's because you find out you can't talk about a lot of shit, but it's healthy. You need to find healthy ways of expressing shit. What Halloween stream?
Yeah, what Halloween stream? What you talk about? What you talk about, Zareth?
There was a Halloween stream?
Yeah, who did a Halloween stream? I don't remember that. I mean, there was a couple floating around, but nothing specific to our understandings.
Yeah. Also, I don't know. I don't care about holidays really. Not a big deal. In fact, the winter is coming, so I'm like, sweet. I'm actually gonna just like sit in and study and do a bunch of labs and projects and shit. I'm actually planning on getting a nice oscilloscope. As well, first I'm gonna get a nice level 3A vest and a couple more firearms and some ammo. But I'm definitely getting my oscilloscope though, because I also plan on doing some AC stuff, test wise and everything like that. And the oscilloscope's kind of necessary. I haven't used an oscilloscope in a little while. I think it's actually been it's going on a couple years now. It's been a little too long. I got a little handheld one, but I need the actual legit one for the test that I got to take. I do have a couple boards and stuff that I can go ahead and practice with, and I'm gonna throw some shit together too, so I can go and fuck around with it and get a lot of the concepts correct. I think it'll
I
be a
want
good
one of
time.
those. I want one of those multi-volt power station deals.
Hmm?
You can test. You know what I'm talking about? Where you can you can feed in different DC levels.
You mean a bench power supply?
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah, I got one of those. You can make them out of old. In fact, I'm gonna make a couple out of old power supplies. You can make those.
So what do you got to get like a Pi or something to be able to program regulate the actual current? Like what do you got? What do you
Just,
do?
just Google it. If you just Google
Mm.
DIY bench power supply.
You know, I heard that whole Google it thing probably about 100 times this week, all from white women. So that's a cool thing to have in common.
Yeah, yeah, that and no, I can't think of anything else. I couldn't think of nothing witty. It's not my time of the month.
Just wait, just wait. I'm gonna reclaim Christmas this year. I think I don't know how, but I'm gonna do it.
I don't understand. Reclaim Christmas?
Hmm
What do you mean? I don't get it.
I'm going to like reclaim it. I might start a new tradition that's specific to myself.
Ah, I
Might
get you.
yeah. So
Well, that's what I'm
what's
doing.
up,
So
orbs?
for me, solo monk introvert. Well, I'm not really an introvert. I mean, I'm like a quarter introvert. I don't know, but I'm like, you know what? Around this time of year, what I'm starting as a tradition is I'm gonna get all my stuff for all these different projects and stuff because there's all this holiday time that comes up, and I always save my time off. I haven't used, in fact, this year I don't think I've used my time off like really at all. And so I'm like, all right, cool. I'll just take time off and shit like that, and I'll just do all these different projects and shit. Like I already did a few of them, and I'm like, sweet. I like this shit. I got some new tools and everything like that, so I'm gonna get some more. I don't know. I think the 3D printer, I think that will be a whole thing within itself because I want to learn to use that effectively. I want to know my options. I want to be able to be cost effective at it and be practical in its application. I want to make sure that my projects are going to cost and that I know how much time has to be allotted, and I especially spec time for any troubleshooting or malfunction issues with the goddamn thing, and I especially know the price of part replacement or replacement of the whole goddamn thing, and especially
what I
like
kind of
the
want to
different
do?
quality of those.
I want to make a sand battery.
What the hell is that?
We could literally what is it? It's a couple components, mostly sand in a large container. And if you get like a Peltier and maybe a controller device, you can literally like let the sand you can let it bake at the sun, especially where I'm at. Well, we have sun all year round. So it'll heat up, or you can charge it like from a current, and then it'll hold that current, and then you can redisperse it as either energy or again electricity if you convert it correctly. So it's like I want to do a homemade sand battery. It's a thing. Don't even go there. It's a thing. It's all over YouTube. I'm gonna try it at some point. It seems pretty dope.
All
Are
right,
you
man.
looking it up right now? You should look it up. It's actually pretty dope. So
Probably. I mean,
Orbs, you got a mic? You said your voice is annoying. We don't care.
what? You sure?
No, Orb said earlier he thought his voice was annoying, but
He said he's
I want to be the
around.
judge of
No, he
that.
said he's around a bunch of annoying people.
No, I thought he said he was around people and his voice was annoying. Oh, maybe I misread it.
I didn't read it.
I'm assuming my voice is.
He sounded normal
Yeah, it's mic quality.
for the half second.
Yeah, I was gonna say the signal quality is fucked up, but all right.
Hello.
Howdy, yo. Yeah, I mixed that together on purpose.
Yeah, I'm getting a sound.
Hmm?
Never.
He must be on push to talk. Are you on push to talk?
Test.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I hear you now.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to leave in like 10 minutes, but whatever.
Okay.
No, that's cool. So, you want to introduce yourself because this is your first time being around any of us, and we have no clue who you are.
I've seen him around.
So I've been on Shining streams past month or so, 2 weeks. I've been well, not exactly involved in this community for a long time, but I've viewed the content for around 6 or 5 years, 5 to 6 years.
Oh, you're
So
a
I haven't really
lurker?
interacted
You're an
with it, though.
OG lurker? Silent ninja
Well,
lurker.
not OG.
Oh, damn.
For a little while, yes.
2017.
18, yeah, around there.
That's what's up.
That means he knows your arc.
No, because I came around 2014.
What were you doing before I met you? Gaming?
No, I was what the fuck before one because I wasn't around Trav and them.
Mm-hmm.
I was just doing streams and shit, and it was me. Fucking what was this goddamn name? Oh, I can't remember those guys' names. Yeah, sorry guys, I know it's been a long time, but it was me and a couple other dudes and like Indy and MGTOW and shit like that, and just a bunch of randos, and we just talk about shit and argue and yell about shit and stuff like that, and yeah.
Good old days. Fight Club. Ugh.
Yeah, my mic
Gotta
is kind
bring
of
it back,
shit.
man. We gotta bring Fight Club back. I need to yell at strangers. I'm telling you.
Honestly, here's the thing. So my qualm with anger and aggression is that it feels really, really good. And hear me out, though. Hear me out. The problem is your body and your brain are pretty dynamic. And when it gets shit that it feels good with, it wants to use them, especially when it sees they're effective, like when it gets results that you want. So I try to stay away from those things when I can. It's like even when I go to like, because I'm planning on signing up for another combat gym. So even when I go to places like that, I don't really turn on the aggression that much, even if the other person is. I'll still, of course, be assertive, and of course you're enacting violence and everything, and you do what you got to do. But the internal emotion, that type of thing, I try to make sure I stay calm and keeled, because I know I know how easy you could. I know, like, let's be honest. One of the things that sucks about the current society is how easy your life can be fucked up just from a little bit of anger and aggression. The people who have power, they're not the type that are going to put a bullet in your head. They're the type that they're going to, I don't know, make a phone call or submit some paperwork. And the people who are backed by those who will pull a bullet in your head will destroy everything you've worked for and done. I see a lot of old men, and they look at me in this way where like they could destroy me, but they also understand that they have to make it to a phone or a pen first. Yeah, I know.
You absolutely have to control it.
So I think it's actually.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. So I think it's actually kind of funny that we're in this time, because as far as I'm concerned, the old should fear the young, but there needs to be a mutual benefit between the two. There needs to be an actual productive relationship, and right now we do not have that.
No, the trade-off
not in
should
most
be
environments.
going back to what I was saying. The trade-off should be that we have a big chunk of elders on their sage shit that offer counsel and wisdom, and in exchange for that, we protect the old asses. That's really how it's supposed to be, right? Because like if in a proper place, an old man is has indispensable like knowledge. It's supposed to be a guiding force, and he needs to be protected because he's going to reach a level of frailty. But his value is tremendous, even if he doesn't have brute force anymore.
Yeah,
You
you
know what
can
I
watch
mean?
the kids
That's
too.
I don't know about all that. Well, I don't know.
That's
Watch
how
kids.
That's how black bitches use their grandfathers and fathers now. So yeah, you
What
can
is
watch
she
the
doing?
kids. She going out trying to find baby daddy number 8.
See, that doesn't sound right.
But that's how it is though. So yeah, but let's be honest. So a lot of social contracts are broken. A lot of communities and all other shit are broken. So as far as repairing it, I don't think there's much. It's gonna take a whole upheaval. Like basically in our lifetimes, I don't think we're gonna see that much of a great change. And I'm saying that based off the idea that our lifetimes, it's gonna be pretty unpredictable how long that's gonna be for us.
It'll be interesting to see.
I mean, yeah, I'm not setting any type. I don't want any type of outcome. I kind of don't care. And this may be because, as far as I'm concerned, with everything that's going on and all that, I don't care. Like from what everything that's done, that's already happened, and kind of the way I see things and understand it. Like I know a lot of guys, they're just seething for like things to be so they can have a family community. I don't fucking care. I wouldn't want one if they did fix it. I don't know. It's just kind of. I would want to focus more on. Yeah, have a good day. I would want to focus more on the I don't know. I guess I'm saying that currently because of how what it's changed my focus to. My focus has become about the internal for myself, and I don't see a fulfilling existence as one of being
Nah, I don't know.
a man
I think we
a
need a.
family. Hmm?
I need to think. We need to corral some kids for you to watch. That's what you
What?
need to be doing.
No.
But you
I'm
just
not.
said it. Okay,
What? What?
old men watch the grandkids now, so we got to find a bunch of grandkids and you watch them.
I'm not doing that
That's good. Why not?
because I don't want to, and nobody can force me.
That's debatable.
Yeah, I know how they try to do it. What they do is they'll bring the kids and they be like, "I'll be back," and they leave, and then they just don't come back. And I'm like, "That's cool. Your kids are going to fucking the court or some shit. They're going to the police station or something."
I don't think you can drop kids off at the court. I don't think it works that way. You might be able to drop them off at like the fire station, but
Yep, there we go. Come on, kids, put on your raincoats. Field trip. I'm not doing that shit. Like hell no. I'm good. I've had to deal with that shit when I was growing up too motherfucking much, and I'm not doing it again. It's just not happening. I don't see a benefit. Now, is that me saying that I'm horrible with children or I'm not capable? No, not at all. I'm actually really great with kids. Because it's simple. They're children. I mean, they're not complicated. Not that complicated. Pretty easy to. Just like women. Women aren't that complicated. But you take away my fucking authority and you leave me with no options to basically take control of this situation, then yeah, now it's fucking complicated. So I don't know. I don't trip. I ain't tripping about that shit. But I think we're kind of like going on. Like I feel like we're gonna spiral around back to some shit. So I don't know. This
right.
is I felt. If anybody's wondering, the reason why this stream is going so long is because I have been neglecting the streaming because I've been busy with work and a bunch of other shit. And there's a possibility. Here's what I'm gonna try to do. Here's what I'm gonna try to do as a personal compromise because this is actually very cathartic for me and very good because it helps me work on my articulation and process a lot of things that I'm thinking about and talking like that I want to talk about, but I don't get the chance to talk about them anywhere else. So I actually need this. This is a mutual. This is a symbiotic relationship right here. Probably using that term wrong as fuck, but whatever. This is a mutually
And
beneficial relationship.
I agree. Let's commit and let the detractors and trolls come in because I want Fight Club. I want that smoke.
Well, I mean, we figured out that we can put the
You don't have to do that, but I want it. I want it.
No,
like
that's
here's the deal. Like
Hmm?
I want Fight Club all the way. I want smoke. I want all the smoke.
I mean, you could do Fight Club. I'll just play a game or something because I'm not about to argue with nobody. But
Okay.
I'll find a way to incorporate it in my schedule in some weird way, and I'll try to find a way to get different topics and stuff like that. I'm gonna try to figure out to do this right because I'm going to the season where, as far as I'm concerned, I'm looking at from what my understanding is of the current environment and things unfolding, and I'm like, oh shit, my longevity is looking highly fucking questionable. Like, well, like my time horizon seems to be coming pretty nigh. So, so as what I'm basically at the point is like, all right, I need to make sure that I'm not gonna be dying feeling like I was unfulfilled as of myself. Like I was unfulfilled as the endeavors I was going through or the processes I was going through while I was living. So I was trying to take a break from that mode for a while. Things caught up with me in life, but now I'm like, you know what? It's now or never.
Have you considered writing and publishing a book? A
Yeah.
book?
No, because I don't have anything to write about. Fuck,
You
I'm gonna
got a
write
lot to
about.
write about.
I got
You got
shit
a
to
lot to
write
write
about.
about.
Nah, I ain't got shit to
You
write
got a
about.
hell of a lot.
No, I got nothing. So from
Okay, I'll write it and just put your name on it.
all
So.
right, please don't do that. Anyways, so I guess basically, as far as it goes, so there are a couple things. The Matrix server is going to stay isolated from Federation. I took some votes. All of the members decided they wanted it isolated from Federation so it can stay a private encrypted server. Of course, I'm still going to do the maintenance, updating, all that other shit. And then I'm also going to be looking into some other type of web shit that goes along with it, because I actually need to practice some other stuff too, because I want to make sure that I got that tip top. And also, it just helps when you work on stuff like that, especially organizational skills, and especially when you go through projects. So the idea of planning something, making sure it's cost correct, and all that other type of shit, I think that'll be good, a good skill to practice. But yeah, if you're wondering about the Matrix server, it's still going to be Federation isolated, but membership, just message one of the admins, which would be MA, RP, JK, myself, and I believe Black Wolf is one as well, and I can't remember who else. But if you message one of them, if they remember how to get to the fucking URL, they can easily create your account, and you'll be perfectly fine. It has a decent amount of storage, and there's plenty of channels on there for different stuff, but you will have to be invited to the channels. But yeah, Lazarus's book is really good. I would check it out. If you've listened to a lot of his videos and stuff, then you'll have an idea that it's definitely a book you want to read, because it's your speed.
We played with the notion of tackling like a chapter at a time and discussing it. I still think that's not a bad idea. Yeah, and we have his explicit permission, by the way. So,
but my thing is, so we're gonna have to find a way to time that in, and I don't think it's gonna be. I think that's gonna be something that had to be done on a separate day besides Sunday, then, because that's gonna be like a whole hour and a half or something in itself. Because the chapters aren't even that long, but then when you go into discussing it and shit like that, that's what's gonna add all the extra time, especially if you're going through. Because last time when we fucked up, as we read the whole chapter or the whole part, and then after that try to talk about it instead of reading a section and then going by section by section.
Yeah.
So I believe me, I that's what I do. I analyze the shit out of something and think about a better way or a process to go through it so that we can get the actual desired result. And if the desired result is to go through and that and then talk about and discuss what we're doing, like the little book stuff, you know what I mean? Then that's what we're going to do. Also, your annoying voice doesn't make sense because that's how everybody thinks their voice is if they're not using the hearing their voice on any type of audio equipment or out loud.
Yeah,
I went through the same thing. That was Orbs. So it's a normal thing. You'll get over it. You'll let it go. I didn't realize how nasally I sound. I sound annoying as shit. But
here's the deal, though. So like we should do it because I'm on one of his pages. I can't find. So I own a copy of the book, and there is digital. I'm pretty sure there's digital, but I'm looking here, and there's no audio. So if we read chapter to chapter and fuck it up, he might be forced to lend his voice to his own book, which would be kind of dope. And then he can get that paper from the audio sales. So I like this strategy. So we got to get him, but we got to fuck up the reading of his book so that he reads it in that, like, a store, British perfection style, and then he can re-release an audio format and get some more credit for his work. So
I don't think he has time.
That might be true. So until he finds time, we'll just I really think we should. I would like to do that because I have the hard book. I can read from the hard book. I know that. Do you have the hard book or a digital copy?
No, I've got an actual physical copy.
Yeah, so we're absolutely equipped. We don't have to worry about having multiple screens or anything like that. So,
well, yeah, no, we could definitely do that. So that we could, especially, and I pointed this out, and years ago. So around this time of year is when people start doing more online shit. But as soon as quote unquote mating season, like spring comes around, everybody disappears. Yeah, I know, it's funny, right? So I don't mind doing different shit. It's just that I gotta find time in between all the other shit that I do. So it'll be sparse and it'll be, I don't know. I'll try to make it somewhat coherent and stick to a point, but I don't know. So I guess today was a good old 3-hour stream. No, we're not hitting like 7-8 hour fucking streams like back in the day. That's just not happening.
Too old for that. It's just too old for that.
Old as hell, man. Old as shit. It's just not happening, man.
Like, and plus, I mean, it would annoy our roommates in the nursing home. We can't be doing that. So,
right? Greta just got her hip put in. Like, that bitch is tired as hell next door. She don't want to hear all that shit. So yeah, can't be doing that. And I kind of want to work out a little bit. I'm planning on doing a little bit more of back and arms. And I'm like, yep, let's just do this. It's not
Do
gonna be a
nursing
long
homes
workout.
have gyms?
Yes, they do.
Do nursing homes have gyms? They do?
100% yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's guardrails everywhere. So you never fall over.
What?
Yeah, he's always got something to just reach out and grab onto. Perfectly fine.
Good looking out.
Yeah, it is what it is. So, let me think. I can't think of anything else because those articles, all the other stuff I had wasn't all that great. It was just some shit that if I didn't have any other points to hit on, I was gonna go there. You could definitely look up for yourself. A lot of people in their financial issues, which again, if you're a guy, one of the things to let go 100% of is impressing people and trying to conform to shit, because you'll find out quickly that being normal is ineffective as fuck. Normal people are highly ineffective. They're highly weak. It's a horrible idea to emulate them and the shit they do, because you will be fucking poor as shit. You will always be hurting. Physically, mentally, and financially. Don't fucking do it. That's not saying that if you are in any of those states, it's your fault, but it is your responsibility. And no, you don't have to be some rich baller ass dude, but you do have to be able to take care of yourself in whatever means possible. And it's like, hey, you got some advice? No, but there's shit tons out there. You can go find some, get you some. Look, I fucking, like the last decade, all I've been doing is working on myself as a person and intellectually, financially, mentally, physically, just all that shit. Spiritually, mentally, just trying to make sure that, the guy I die as is the motherfucker I was intended to die as. Because we're going to die. But one of the ideas is the pursuit of excellence. You want to push yourself towards the version of yourself that you wish to be. Because there is a moment where you're going to be closing your eyes. And this is for the last time. Maybe you die with your eyes open. It doesn't matter. Everything's going to go black for you. And that little bit of microsecond where you get to reflect on who you were, you want that to be, acknowledgement that, yeah, there was no regrets because I got all that shit out the way early on. I made sure that I could stop even that little a mental system of regret building. And you do that by understanding who you are, what you want, all that other shit, and then bit by bit, inch by inch, just working towards it. Fuck comparing yourself to everybody else. Compare yourself to who you were versus where you want to be and what you are now. And no, that's not some PUA shit. The truth is that the measurement of success is individual. You have to figure out what that is for you. All right, Emma, you got anything else?
Yeah, the fool's life is empty of gratitude and full of fears. I'm just going to quote Seneca since it's on the screen. Or it was.
That's good enough for me. All right, bye.
With honors. He's just really excited and he has no clue why we're here. That's very funny to me. Y'all ain't laughing though.